Chapter 1462. I appreciate your kindness, Chen Dao said indifferently. Chen Dao said indifferently. He could no longer find the arrogance and confidence he had in the past. There was only deathly stillness and despair. After experiencing such a thing, if he could only lie in bed as a cripple for the rest of his life, how could he accept it? Maybe he had never thought that he would encounter such a thing. It was completely out of his expectations, and he did not know what to do. Senior sect brother Chun, you have helped me many times since I entered the sect. Now that you have encountered such a thing, let me help you. She said softly, don't be in a hurry to refuse. Just try for a while. Really, please believe me. The sect's doctors and pill masters have all said they cannot cure me. How can you help me? Fengjiu, don't waste your efforts. It is useless. How do you know it is useless if you don't try? There are many things in life that can only be known after trying. Even if others tell you it is useless, even if others extinguish the flame of your hope, you should not let the flame of hope in your heart be extinguished. Hearing this, Chen Dao stared blankly at him. Do I still have that hope? You do not know. A disciple of the same peak, a disciple who always called me senior sect brother. I saved him, but he pushed me to my death. I know that human nature is selfish. However, I never thought that a person I saved would push me to my death instead of helping me when I was on the brink of death. Ha ha! I deserve it. I deserve it. I saved someone I should not have saved. I deserve it. Seeing him shout emotionally, sometimes crying and sometimes laughing crazily, Fengjiu went forward and pressed him down. Senior sect brother Chun, you did not do anything wrong. The fault does not lie with you. The heavens will not let you lie in bed and be unable to stand. Get out! Get out! Get out! He shouted, tears seeping out of the corners of his eyes. He tried to push Fengjiu away, but in the next moment, the person who had been shouting hysterically quieted and fell asleep. Rest. Leave the rest to me. Fengjiu put away the silver needles in his hand and looked at the unconscious man. Just as he was about to remove his clothes, he heard Luo Heng's angry scolding from outside. Too snobbish. Each and every one of them was too outrageous. Why didn't they think about how they used to act when they saw senior brother Chun? Now that they saw him like this, they even wanted to hit him while he was down. This is outrageous. Fengjiu turned around and looked at the person who walked in. He asked, what's wrong? Didn't you say you were going to get a doctor? Why did you come back by yourself? Those people are too outrageous. He rushed forward angrily and said, I went to find a doctor, but none of them confirmed it. All of them said that there was no way. They didn't even want to come over and take a look. They are really not snobbish. Hearing that, Fengjiu smiled. It's fine. It's good that they don't come. It's good that you're here. What do you mean? Luo Heng asked. I don't know anything about medicine. I can't save senior brother Chun. You don't need to save him. Just help me take off his clothes and support him. I'll do the orthopedic. As long as I correct the dislocated bones and bandage them with my secret ointment, he can get out of bed and walk around on his own in less than 3 months. Chapter 1463. Fengjiu smiled. So will you help? Or not? If you don't help, I'll do it myself. Hearing this, Luo Heng frowned. Are you serious? Of course. Do you think I'm joking? She looked at him and said, Didn't you say it yourself? Those doctors and alchemists all said that he can't be saved and can only lie in bed for the rest of his life. Since that's the case, if you really want him to be well, why don't you trust me this time? Seeing Fengjiu's serious expression, Luo Heng thought for a moment before taking off Chen Dao's shirt. He asked, Do you want me to take off his pants? There's no need for pants. You just need to pull his pants down a little. Fengjiu took off her boots and walked onto the bed. She pointed and said, Turn his body halfway over and support him. Oh, Luo Heng could only do as he said. He supported the half-naked Chen Dao and let him sleep on his side. Seeing he didn't wake up for a long time, he asked, What did you do to him? I pricked him with a needle. Don't worry, he'll be fine. Fengjiu squatted down, holding Chen Dao's sleeping arm with one hand and carefully feeling his spine with the other. His hand went from top to bottom to his lumbar spine and felt that it was dislocated. It was because of the dislocation of the lumbar spine that Chen Dao was paralyzed on the bed. How is it? Luo Hong saw that he didn't do anything after touching for a while and couldn't help asking. We have to operate on him, she said slowly. In addition to the dislocation of his lumbar spine, there are also bone fragments inside. We have to clean them up. She jumped off the bed, put on her boots, and walked out. Hey, where are you going? Wait for me. I'll get a basin of water. Fengjiu didn't look back. He went in the bathroom to get a basin of water and prepared the things he needed before returning to the bedroom. Let him lie on his back. Come and help me, Fengjiu said. He took out knives, tweezers, silver needles, and medicine. Luo Hong looked at the glinting sharp knives and couldn't help but shudder. What are you trying to do? Didn't I just say it? His injury is on his lumbar spine. As long as the bones are corrected and the broken bones are cleaned up, he will recover, she said without raising her head. After washing her hands, she said, Don't make a fuss when I'm operating. If I sweat, remember to use a clean cloth to wipe my sweat. Don't let my sweat get on the wound. Also, when I ask you to stop the bleeding, you have to use the tweezers on this side to stop the bleeding. Don't ask too much. But can you do it? Will he? He didn't dare to say the word die. He only felt his heart tremble as he looked at the situation. Don't worry, this kind of surgery is just a piece of cake for me. It's not a big deal. As she spoke, she seemed to have thought of something and went outside. Not long after, she came back again. Where are you going this time? Luo Hong asked. To prevent anyone from disturbing us, I set up another barrier. Okay, let's start. At this time, she took off her dusty coat and only wore a clean inner garment. She started the surgery on Chun Dao. Chapter 1464. Following that, Fengjiu's skillful movements left him dumbfounded. His mind went blank, and all he could think of was the shocking scene in front of him. He never knew that a broken bone could be treated this way. He never knew that someone could do such a thing. He also didn't know that there was someone with such superb medical skills in this world. When he heard Fengjiu's cold and calm voice telling him to wipe his sweat, he mechanically followed Fengjiu's instructions and wiped his sweat in an orderly manner. When that voice told him to stop the bleeding, he picked up the gauze with tweezers and stopped the blood from seeping out of the wound. After an unknown amount of time, he felt dizzy. When he saw Fengjiu sewing up the wound on Chun Dao's waist with an embroidery needle, he opened his mouth and didn't know what to say. It turned out that human flesh could be sewn as clothes. Okay, the surgery is done. Fengjiu exhaled softly. The 4-hour surgery was finally completed, and the situation wasn't too bad. Actually, the recovery speed could be faster, and that was to use something to correct the displaced bones and fix them. However, that would be too troublesome. At that time, she would have to operate again to remove the things inside. Therefore, she used another method. Although it would be slower to let him recover naturally, at least she wouldn't have to operate again. Is it done? Luo Hong mumbled. When he saw Fengjiu nod in response, he finally couldn't take it anymore and fell to the ground with a thud. Huh? Fengjiu was stunned. She looked at Luo Hong, who had fainted on the ground, dumbfounded. What was going on? She went forward to check on him. Seeing that he was fine, he simply fainted because he couldn't withstand the impact. She didn't pay any attention to him. She took advantage of the time to concoct the ointment at the table. She also concocted a bottle of medicine. She plucked a ghost herb leaf from the space and mixed it with the ointment. After the ointment dissolved, she fed it to Chun Dao. Speaking of which, you're quite lucky. This time, you picked the ghost herb in the arcane territory. With it, your bones will recover faster. She chuckled. Although she could use vitality to quickly heal Chun Dao's wound, that would arouse suspicion. She could only wait for a few days to remove the stitches before applying the ointment. Luo Hong was woken up by the cold. He was lying on the ground in the middle of the night. When he jumped up, he saw Fengjiu fiddling with the ointment at the table. He went forward and asked, What are you doing? You're awake. She glanced at him, just in time. Come here and let me tell you. Oh, of course. Of the ointment. This is the ointment. I'll come to help him remove the stitches in 3 days before I can apply the ointment on Senior Brother Chen's wound. It hasn't healed yet, so we can only apply some anti-inflammatory ointment. In addition, Senior Brother Chen has to drink a bottle of this ointment every day for the next 3 days. I'll leave this to you. I'll be busy these days, so I might not be able to take care of it. Chapter 1465. His injuries haven't been stabilized yet, so try not to move him when he's lying on the bed. Also, don't let anyone see him for the time being, so as to avoid delaying the treatment and causing his lumbar vertebrae to shift. Feng Jiu instructed, but didn't hear a reply for a long time. He raised his head and saw Luo Heng staring blankly at him with a strange expression on his face. He asked, "What's wrong?" Luo Heng returned to his senses and looked at the medicine. He asked, "Where did you get those things? Don't tell me you concocted them yourself." Although they weren't pills, they were medicinal liquids. Only an alchemist could concoct medicinal liquids. He was just an odd-job worker. So how could he know something that alchemists couldn't? "Oh, this." Feng Jiu smiled. "Didn't I say it already? My family's ancestral secret recipe. This ointment has no other use. It can only treat broken limbs and bones. As for the other medicinal liquids, they were all given to me by others. Even if I don't know how to refine pills, I still have the pills you gave me in my Chinquan bag, and there are quite a few of them." Hearing this, although Luo Heng was puzzled, he knew that what he said was very reasonable. Although he was just an odd-job worker, because he was good at running errands and had a sweet mouth, many alchemists would give him some low-grade pills as a reward. In that case, it wasn't surprising that Feng Jiu had medicinal liquids that even alchemists couldn't concoct. "And all right, I'll remember everything you said." He nodded and put away the medicine on the table. He then said to Feng Jiu, "Senior Marshal Brother Chun, leave everything here to me. I'll remember everything, so don't worry." "All right." Feng Jiu nodded and told him a few other things in detail before leaving first. The next day, she wanted to go to the 8th peak to visit her mother under the guise of delivering the spiritual medicine. Unexpectedly, just as she walked out of the cave, she saw her mother walking over from not far away. She was stunned for a moment before quickly walking forward. "Senior uncle, what's wrong?" Thinking about it, it was quite funny. She was clearly his mother, and they already knew his identity, yet he still addressed her as senior uncle. "You live here?" Shangguan Wanrong looked at the simple and crude cave behind her and frowned slightly. "The odd-job disciples live here." She squinted her eyes with a smile and asked, "Do you want to go in and sit?" Shangguan Wanrong nodded and entered the cave with her. When she entered, she found that the cave was not only small, but the facilities were not complete. There was not even a place to take a bath. Thinking that she did not even have a place to take a bath, she could not help but feel guilty. She lived in this kind of place and became a servant of Three Yang Peak because she came to find her. As her mother, not only did she fail to take care of her for so many years, she even let her experience such a life. She really shouldn't have. "Sit." Feng Jiu gestured and poured a cup of tea for her. He then looked at her and asked with anticipation, "Can I call you mother now?" Hearing this, Shangguan Wanrong's heart clenched. She raised her eyes to look at her daughter, whose eyes were filled with anticipation. Her eyes could not help but heat up. She reached out her hand and gently stroked her face, asking in a soft voice, "Then can you listen to Mother about something?" Hearing this, Feng Jiu's face revealed a happy smile and said in a light tone, "Mother, what is it? Tell me." If her father knew that she had found her mother, he would definitely be very happy. Chapter 1466. Feng Jiu's smile faded. He looked at her and asked, "Then will you come back with me, Mother? I can't leave. Master said that I have to reach nascent soul within 3 months and become a nascent soul cultivator. Otherwise, he'll exile me to the wastelands of extreme evilness and make me experience the most miserable of survival breakthroughs." Shangguan Wanrong looked at her and said, "I've come today because I want you to leave as soon as possible. It's not safe here, and I'll be even more worried if you stay here. Go back to your father first. Once I've dealt with everything here, I'll definitely come find you." "Do you think you'll definitely be able to leave here safely, Mother?" she asked softly. The atmosphere froze and became rather heavy. However, Feng Jiu did not think much of it. He continued, "Actually, you don't know this, but before I came here, I originally planned to go to the Shangguan clan and ask them to take you back. However, I heard that you were here, so I came looking for you. Father can rest assured that I'll be alone outside, not because of anything else, but because I have the ability to protect myself. My strength may not be outstanding among the 8 great empires, but it's not a problem for me to protect myself. It's also not a problem for me to protect Mother. Shangguan Wanrong looked at her in a daze. At this moment, the feeling she gave off was different from before. At this moment, she was calm and indifferent. Her eyebrows exuded a self-confident expression. Her eyes were filled with wanton and arrogance. A noble and threatening aura filled the air from her body. Mother, I'm certain that 3 Yangzi wants to harm you. Although I don't know what he wants to do, it's definitely not something good. You can only tell me about it, and let me share the burden with you, give you advice, and discuss how to deal with it. Otherwise, I don't believe you'll be able to leave under 3 Yangzi's nose alive. But if you stay and something happens to you, she was extremely worried. She had never thought that she would be unwilling to leave, nor did she think that her presence would suddenly change when she mentioned this matter. If you don't leave, I won't leave either. I promised Father that I'd take Mother back. Shangguan Wanrong sat in silence for a while when she heard that. Only after a long while did she gently sigh. Then stay here for now. However, you can't call me Nyangqin when you're outside. Otherwise, if he finds out, he'll definitely do you harm. Yes, I know. She smiled and nodded her head. Her eyes narrowed as she asked, Then can Mother tell me the whole story now? When she saw this, Shangguan Wanrong had no other choice. Only then did she tell her the entire story and how she was brought back by 3 Yangzi. I have a feeling that there must be something wrong with 3 Yangzi's order for me to enter the nascent soul stage. If he really wants to take my life, I think it will be after I enter the nascent soul stage. She said slowly, However, how can it be so easy to enter the nascent soul realm? If I forcefully take the pill to advance, I'm worried that my foundation will be unstable and it will be difficult to advance in the future. But in the current situation, even if I don't take the pill to advance, once the 3 months are up, I'm afraid that he will take action. Chapter 1467. No, Shangguan Wanrong directly refused and said with a solemn expression, This is too dangerous. Moreover, we can't fool him. Why can't we fool him? Mother, I'm already a nascent soul cultivator. My current strength is only suppressed by me. If I stay, I have enough strength to protect myself. I definitely won't let anything happen to me, and he definitely won't find out that we were switched. Shangguan Wanrong shook her head, no. Looking at her daughter's doubtful expression, she slightly paused and thought about it with slight hesitation before saying, He drugged me. My body isn't quite right. What? Feng Jiu was startled and grabbed her wrist to examine it. After a while, he doubtfully said, Your body is fine? There's no poison in your body. It's this hand. She stretched out her other hand and opened her palm for Feng Jiu to see. Look, there's a red line here on the middle finger. Although it's not very obvious, this red blood line extends from the middle finger up to the arm. It's just that it's under the skin. If you don't pay attention, you won't be able to see it. Looking at the line of blood that appeared under the skin, Feng Jiu's gaze slightly darkened. No wonder she couldn't find any problems when she checked the pulse. It turned out that the hidden blood had accumulated on that arm. She stretched out her hand and carefully examined the wrist of that hand. With this examination, her expression became strange. This isn't poison, it's medicine, she slowly said and looked at her mother. I think I should know what Saint Yangzi wants to do. What does he want to do? Shangguan Wanrong softly asked. Feng Jiu looked at her and asked with a strange expression, Mother, do you know you have a spirit-gathering physique? She shook her head and asked, Spirit-gathering physique? What kind of physique is that? What's the use of it? Aside from being imprisoned in the Shangguan clan, she was brought here and came in contact with matters related to medicinal pills. She didn't know anything about this physique. The spirit-gathering physique is like a mobile spiritual energy storage device. The reason why Saint Yangzi wants you to advance to the nascent soul realm is so that he can use your nascent soul to refine pills after you condense it. She looked at Mo Tinga's shocked face and continued. The nascent soul of a person with the spirit-gathering physique is the purest. A nascent soul that is like a newborn has gathered all of your essence and blood. Furthermore, the medicine on your arm was prepared for him to use to concoct pills after you enter the nascent soul stage. To put it bluntly, he wants to use you as a human furnace to concoct pills that will allow him to live. Human furnace? Shangwan Wanrong's complexion turned pale, and a storm surged in her heart. She knew that there was no such thing as a free lunch in this world. If she wasn't useful, why would 3 Yangtze bring her here and say that he wanted to take her in as his last disciple? So it turned out that he had this idea. He wanted to use her as a human furnace to concoct an immortal pill for himself. In Mother, the medicine on your arm right now are all top-quality spiritual herbs. Each stock is at least 500 years old. I don't know what method he used to lock in the medicinal properties of your arm so that they won't be lost, but one thing is certain. These things aren't harmful in your body. It's just that these medicines haven't been refined into pills, so you won't be able to absorb them in your body. Chapter 1468. No, it's not harmful to you. It's just that the medicine is currently locked onto your arm. If the medicine spreads, it'll be different. Feng Jiu slightly frowned, thought for a bit, and said, "It's a bit difficult to be sure right now. Even if I can disguise myself as you and learn everything, it'll be useless. He'll definitely be able to see through it. Also, among these medicines, there's a medicine that prevents you from escaping, the purple gold orange jasmine." She slowly walked around the cave as she thought of a solution. After a while, she said, "The other medicines are fine. You can find a time to let your blood out and get rid of the medicine. However, this purple gold orange jasmine is a latent medicine. If you leave 3 Yang Peak too far away, this purple gold orange jasmine will become a poison. The only medicine that can cure this purple gold orange jasmine is the accompanying herb of the purple gold 3-leaf grass. Then when I entered the secret territory, why didn't the purple gold orange jasmine turn into a poison?" Shangwan Wanrong asked curiously. "That must be because you have the scent of the purple gold 3-leaf grass on you." Shangwan Wanrong shook her head, "But I don't have that thing on me. If I did, I would definitely know. The purple gold orange jasmine doesn't have any scent. Even if it's in your body, you won't be able to detect it. However, it can sense the accompanying herb. The purple gold orange jasmine that leaves the accompanying herb will become a poison. The accompanying herb that leaves the purple gold orange jasmine will also wither after 7 days." Hearing this, Shangwan Wanrong said, "If that's the case, then I'll pretend that I don't know anything and continue to cultivate. I'll leave after I find the accompanying herb. But if you do that, your situation..." Feng Jiu was a bit worried. "It's okay. Nothing will happen." She revealed a smile and said, "You, on the other hand, take care of yourself here. I won't come to see you about this to avoid arousing suspicion." "Okay, I'll secretly go see you." Feng Jiu calmed herself down and squinted her eyes with a smile. "Don't worry, Mother. You're not alone. And I know." Her eyes were slightly red as she reached out and hugged her tightly. Mother and daughter talked for a while in the Immortal's Cave. It wasn't until near noon that Shangwan Wanrong got up and left, intending to return to the Immortal's Cave to cultivate. Although 3 months was a bit fast, with the help of medicinal pills, it was not impossible to enter the Yuanying stage. In the next few days, other than taking care of her mother's situation, Feng Jiu would occasionally take time to visit Qindao. 3 days later, the stitches were removed and the ointment was applied. However, Qindao still hadn't woken up. Feng Jiu felt that a sleeping Qindao was better for his recovery. At the very least, he wouldn't be too agitated. Feng Jiu decided to let Qindao sleep until his lumbar vertebrae had more or less recovered. At that time, Qindao would be able to see the results and wouldn't move his body and cause the wound to open again. On this day, Feng Jiu came to Qindao's cave abode again. Before he got close, he heard Luo Heng's voice coming from inside the cave abode. Feng Jiu, you're here? Come in. I have something to tell you." She stepped forward and asked, "What's the matter?" Chapter 1469. Hearing this, Feng Jiu asked, "Then what did you tell him?" Luo Hung scratched his head and said, I didn't have time to say anything before he left. He just came over to say that he was coming. He didn't even come in to see Senior Brother Chun. I couldn't even say anything to him. Next time he comes, tell him that Senior Brother Chun wishes to return in 3 months. If he asks why, tell him that Senior Brother Chun has lived here for so many years that he has developed feelings for this place. He knows that once he returns, he won't be able to return. He hopes that the Grand Elder will make an exception and bring him back in 3 months. Her voice paused slightly, and the corners of her lips curled up slightly. I think, for such a small request, Great Elder shouldn't disregard the face of the clan and directly reject it. Luo Hung was puzzled and asked, why don't you just tell him that you're treating Senior Brother Chun, that he'll recover in 3 months? Is it because you're not confident? He thought that it would be more direct and clear. Why do you have to beat around the bush? Feng Jiu rolled his eyes speechlessly. I'm just a servant. Even you don't believe that I can cure Senior Brother Chun. How can the Great Elder believe me? Moreover, isn't it strange to say it out loud? You said it yourself. If a servant like me has such medical skills, I'm not a servant anymore. If they treat me as a spy and execute me, who can I cry to? That's right. If you have such medical skills, why are you a servant? Are you really a spy? He asked in confusion. He felt that it was very strange. Feng Jiu's mouth twitched. She had a big mouth. He kept asking questions. If she continued, he would probably keep asking questions. Hey, Feng Jiu. She raised her hand to stop him from asking any more questions. I'll go check on Senior Brother Chun. With that, she entered Chun Dao's cave. Once inside, she checked Chun Dao's pulse and the recovery rate of his lumbar vertebrae. She asked, when was this ointment applied? I just applied it this morning. Feng Jiu, Senior Brother Chun hasn't eaten anything for a few days. Will he be able to take the medicine you've prepared? Luo Hung asked as he walked to the bedside. Feng Jiu, Senior Brother Chun hasn't eaten anything in days. Yes, it's no problem. As she spoke, she asked how much medicine was left. After checking, she kept a few bottles and said, in another half a month. In another half a month, he can wake up and eat on his own. By then, he should be able to feel the recovery rate of his spine. Luo Hung stared at her and didn't know what he was thinking. She asked, what's wrong? Is there something on my face? No, but you're amazing. Although I don't know much about medicine, I can see that Senior Brother Chun is recovering day by day. Tell me, how can someone like you be an odd job worker? Feng Jiu smiled and did not intend to say anything more. She walked out. Unexpectedly, Luo Hung blocked her way. Feng Jiu, tell me in detail. It's very uncomfortable to be left hanging like this. And tell me, who are you? I'm Feng Jiu. She chuckled and said, as for the rest, you don't have to be too curious. Anyway, you just need to know that I won't harm you. Chapter 1470. Hearing this, Feng Jiu couldn't help but laugh. Of course not. You're a great alchemist. How can I compare to you? All right, I'll go back first. I'll come back in a few days. With that, he waved his hand and left. Luo Hung stood outside the cave and watched. He had been living here for a while. Other than being able to take care of Chun Dao, it also saved him the trouble of running around. Although he hadn't interacted much with Chun Dao before, he still respected his character. Now that he was in such a state, although he couldn't save him, he could help to take care of him. A few days later, in the morning, the Great Elder followed a few clan members to Chun Dao's cave. Before they entered, they saw Luo Hung coming out to greet them. It's the Great Elder. Greetings, Great Elder. Are you here to see Senior Brother Chun? Luo Hung asked with a smile. I'm here to bring him back to the clan. The Great Elder glanced at Luo Hung and asked, why are you still here? Oh, it's like this. Senior Brother Chun has helped me a lot previously. I thought that it would be inconvenient for him to move around, so I came to take care of him for a while. With that, he paused and said, Great Elder, there's one more thing that Senior Brother Chun asked me to pass on. What is it? He glanced at Luo Hung and asked. It's like this. Senior Brother Chun said that he wants to stay here for a few more months before going back. After all, he has lived here for so long and has grown attached to it. He can't bear to leave so suddenly, so, before he could finish, he was interrupted. He's already in such a state, and he still wants to stay here? Isn't he staying here to be a joke? This is ridiculous. Chen Dao's spine is injured. Could it be that his brain is also not working well? The great elder's face was filled with displeasure as he exuded a powerful aura. It shocked Luo Heng so much that he couldn't speak for a while. All of you, come with me and carry him back to the clan. The great elder said to the people behind him as he stepped forward to enter the clan. Luo Heng was so nervous that he didn't know what to do. At this moment, he saw a green figure walking towards them. He immediately shouted happily, Fengjiu, Fengjiu, you're here. Quick, come over here quickly. Fengjiu, who had not been here for a few days, wanted to come and take a look. When he saw the few people in front of the cave residence and the old man, he knew their identities. When he saw Luo Heng's anxious face, he knew that he could not handle the great elder. Hence, he quickly jogged to the front. Grand Elder, you must be Great Elder Chun, right? Grand Elder, I heard from Senior Brother Luo that Grand Elder had come to visit Senior Brother Chen several times. I always hoped to meet Grand Elder, but I didn't expect to meet you today. Fengjiu quickly walked past Luo Heng and arrived in front of the First Elder. His face was full of surprise and excitement, as if he had seen someone he respected and worshipped. His eyes shone with surprise as he looked at the First Elder. The First Elder was slightly startled. Seeing the look of worship on a young man's face, he couldn't help but let out a soft cough and asked, Who are you? How could he be so unruly? Why are you making such a big fuss? First Elder, although Disciple Feng 9 is only a lowly handyman, my admiration for the First Elder is like an unstoppable river, like the overflowing Yellow River. The First Elder's name is like thunder in my ears, and you are like a god in my heart. I also heard from Senior Brother Chun that as the First Elder of the number 1 Pill sect in the 8 Great Empires, the First Elder does not forget the clansmen, and it is not difficult to guide and help them. Chapter 1471. Everyone knew how to flatter, but it was rare to see someone flatter like this young man. No one would flatter someone so smoothly on their first meeting. It was as if he had done it so casually. The thickness of his skin was extraordinary. One had to know that no one would flatter someone in such a way. This brat was an oddball. Ahem. First Elder coughed lightly and glanced at Fengjiu. He raised his hand and said, That's enough. If you have something to say, say it. He wanted to see what tricks this young man had up his sleeves. I don't have anything to say. I just want to express my admiration for First Elder and... Before he could finish, he was interrupted. All right. I came here today because I have something to do. I won't talk nonsense with you. As he spoke, he glanced at Fengjiu and asked, What did you say your name was? Disciple Fengjiu. I'm an odd job worker of 3rd Pekyang. She smiled and said, Fengjiu? He sized her up and nodded. All right, go to your work. There's nothing for you to do here. No. The smile on her face disappeared and she said seriously, First Elder, you still don't know, right? During this period of time, Senior Brother Luo and I have been taking care of Senior Brother Chun. Yesterday, Senior Brother Chun was still crying his eyes out, saying that he had lost face for the Chun clan and the Great Elder. He said that ever since he entered the sect, it was the Great Elder who had been taking care of him. He had always respected the Great Elder as his father. Now that something like this had happened, he was even more ashamed to face the Great Elder. When the Chun clan members heard this, their hearts ached. They couldn't help but glance at the First Elder before lowering their heads. Luo Heng's mouth twitched. What did he mean by he had been taking care of Chun Dao? It was clearly him who had been taking care of him. Also, what did he mean by Chun Dao was crying yesterday? Chun Dao was still sleeping like a pig. He probably didn't even know that he had been sold. Besides, when did he come over yesterday? He was really spouting nonsense. He didn't know that his ability to spout nonsense was so great. Look at how the First Elder and the others were so stunned that they didn't seem to be able to react. Just as Luo Heng thought, the First Elder was also startled when he heard Fengjiu's words. He was a little surprised, but he didn't think that Fengjiu was spouting nonsense because Chun Dao was usually very respectful to him in the sect. For a moment, He hesitated. If he were to disregard his wishes and send him back to his clan, wouldn't that make him seem unreasonable and cold-blooded? At this moment, Fengjiu suddenly turned around and asked, "That's right, Senior Brother Luo." Senior Brother Chun said that he hopes to stay here for a few more months before returning. Have you told First Elder about this? Ah, yes, he did. He stared blankly for a moment before turning to look at the Grand Elder. Hearing this, Fengjiu grinned and looked at the First Elder with joy. I knew the First Elder would agree to let Senior Brother Chun stay here for a few more months. It's such a small request, and the First Elder treats Senior Brother Chun so well. How could he not agree? Ahem. The First Elder coughed softly and looked deeply at Fengjiu. Since that's the case, let him stay here for a few more months. The two of you are too kind to him. Chapter 1472. Luo Hong heaved a sigh of relief as he watched them leave. He stepped forward and patted Fengjiu's shoulder. You're really something. You actually managed to change the Great Elder's mind like this. You don't know that I did as you said, but he didn't listen and insisted on bringing Chun Dao back. Fengjiu smiled. He looked at the 2 bottles of medicine in his hand and passed them to Luo Hong. Take them. Let's go in and take a look at Senior Brother Chun. Seeing the figure striding inside, Luo Hong hurriedly followed after her. The Three-Yong Peak appeared to be calm and tranquil on the surface. However, as Shangwan Wanrong entered into closed-door cultivation, the thoughts of Duan Mu Bai and the others started to float. They kept having the feeling that something was about to happen. However, even if they were people of the same generation as the martial uncles in the Three-Yong Peak, they had no way of asking about their master's matters. As a result, the worries and doubts in their hearts kept lingering, and they were not in the mood to cultivate. On this day, the 4 of them met under the tree in front of the cave abode to drink tea. After drinking a cup of tea, the 4th-ranked pill master broke the silence and asked, "What do you think our master is trying to do?" After returning, Junior Sister only went to our master's 9 peaks once before going into seclusion. Although nothing happened recently, I still feel uneasy. There's nothing we can do about it. We can only wait and see. Nothing happened now, so we can't overstep the rules, right? The 2nd-ranked pill master said as he took a sip of tea. Eldest Senior Brother, what do you think? Another person asked Duan Mu Bai, who was silent. Just as 2nd Junior Brother said, nothing happened, so we can't do anything. Duan Mu Bai looked down as he said that. Even if they knew their master's intentions, they could not stop everything from happening. He only hoped that his junior sister could leave this place. This way, they could prevent their master from killing his disciple. However, this was only his guess. How could he say it out loud? The few of them drank their tea in silence, and their minds were filled with different thoughts a few days later, because the Three-Yong Peak looked peaceful on the surface and Fengjiu had nothing to do. She went to Chun Dao's cave abode again. Calculating the time, it had been half a month since she had operated on Chun Dao. After such a long time, she should be able to wake Chun Dao up. Luo Hong, who had been counting the days, was also very excited because he couldn't wait to see the effects of Chun Dao's recovery and let him tell them the results. Therefore, when the full 15 days were up, he had been pacing back and forth outside the cave residence, waiting for Fengjiu early in the morning. When he saw Fengjiu leisurely walking towards him, his eyes lit up as he raised his hand and shouted, Fengjiu, walk faster, don't be so slow. I have been waiting for you for a long time." She smiled, and not long after, she walked up to him. "What's the hurry? Aren't I here now?" She walked past him and asked, "Has anyone come to disturb Senior Marshal Brother Chun recently?" Tisk, it's not like you don't know that ever since he became like this, no one would come to see him. Of course, the 2 of us are exceptions. It's good that they didn't come. As Fengjiu spoke, she went to the bedside and checked before taking out the silver needles. Half a month has passed, and his bones are recovering well. Although he can't get out of bed yet, at least they are fixed and won't move easily. Chapter 1473. Chun Dao opened his eyes and stared blankly at the smiling young man in front of him. The scene before he fell asleep seemed to appear in his mind at this moment. He opened his mouth, and his voice was a little hoarse. I'm Fengjiu. Senior Marshal Brother Chun, did you forget about me after waking up? Feng Jiu smiled and looked at him with a pair of eyes, teasing him. Senior Brother Chun, you're really awake? Hurry up and feel your waist. Hurry up. Luo Hung came forward and looked at him expectantly. Waist. Yes, yes, his lumbar was broken. His lumbar was displaced. His lumbar vertebrae were too broken and couldn't be recovered. He was paralyzed. In an instant, his expression changed unpredictably. He looked gloomy and pale. He was paralyzed. What else could he do? His life was ruined. Seeing him lying motionless on the bed and staring blankly at the ceiling, Luo Hung couldn't help but scratch his head. After glancing at Feng Jiu, he called out again, Senior Brother Chun, try moving your leg. Let's see the effect. Hearing this, Chen Dao turned around expressionlessly and looked at Luo Hung. He said in a low voice, I broke my lumbar vertebrae. Everything below my waist is useless. I can't use any strength. Don't you know? I'm paralyzed. I can't move my leg. Luo Hung grinned. Try it. How can you not know if you don't try? Why don't I pinch you to see if you can feel your lower body? As he spoke, he chuckled and really pinched Chen Dao's thigh hard. Ouch. Ah. Chen Dao instinctively cried out in pain when the pain assaulted him. However, when the sound came out his mouth, he was stunned. Because of the pain, he retracted his leg. But it was such a small movement that made his eyes burn. His face was full of disbelief. How can this be? How can this be? Feng Jiu glared at Luo Hung. You really pinched him? You can't pinch so hard. Did you forget that his body hasn't recovered yet? What a mess. I was just thinking, what if he doesn't feel anything when I pinch him too small? So I pinched a little harder. Look, isn't it feeling now? Of course, he wouldn't say that it was a rare opportunity to pinch Chen Dao's thigh in front of him. It would be a waste not to pinch it. After all, he had been so busy taking care of Chen Dao for the past half a month that he had become haggard. He hadn't even been able to sleep well. Chen Dao was dumbfounded as he said in disbelief, My waist. My waist can exert strength? Can your waist exert strength now? How could this be? How could this be? Senior Brother Chun, this is all thanks to Feng Jiu. He used his family's old ointment to fix your lumbar spine. Also, this kid has excellent medical skills. Fortunately, he helped you with the surgery. You don't know, but he used a knife to clean out all the broken bones in your lumbar spine. Then, he sewed your flesh up like a piece of clothing. I took a look when I helped you change the dressing. Now, there's only a dark red scar there. If you didn't tell me, I wouldn't have known that it had been cut open. Feng Jiu rolled her eyes and pushed Luo Hung aside. Okay, let me talk to you. Luo Hang's words were messy and scary. Okay, let me talk to you. Luo Hung was speechless. Chapter 1474. She paused and smiled. Your displaced lumbar vertebra has been corrected, and it has been half a month since you fell asleep. After the surgery, your bones have been fixed and won't be displaced easily. However, it will take some time for you to fully recover. I estimate that it will take about 3 months. After 3 months, you should be able to get out of bed and walk around as if you have recovered. Listening to Feng Jiu's words, Chen Dao seemed to hear the sound of his heart beating like thunder. His words were like a ray of sunshine that suddenly appeared in the dark sky, dispersing the haze that enveloped him. It was also like he who was about to drown hugged a piece of driftwood and regained his vitality. His originally dead heart was rekindled with hope at this moment. His original despair turned into hope at this moment. Those who had not experienced all of this would not understand the excitement and joy in his heart at this moment. They would not understand the excitement and uncontrollable emotions of someone rescuing and pulling him out of a hopeless situation in the darkness of despair. It was said that men did not cry easily. However, at this moment, his eyes were red and hot tears overflowed. Those were tears of joy and excitement. Can I really stand up? Can I really return to how I was before? Will I really not become a cripple? The 3 questions in a row showed the eagerness and excitement in his heart. Feng Jiu smiled slightly and said with certainty, Of course. If I say you can recover, you will definitely recover. However, The premise is that you have to cooperate with the treatment after you wake up. The ointment can't be stopped for a day, and you can't move your lumbar vertebra at will. During this period, you have to lie down. Okay. I'll lie down. I won't move. I won't move. His voice was choked with sobs. His hands were tightly clenched into fists to suppress the excitement in his heart. You just woke up and your emotions aren't too agitated. Take a rest first, she said and beckoned Luo Hung to go out with her. Then, she asked, how much ointment do you have left? If it's not enough, I'll have to transfer more. Wait, I'll take it to you. Luo Hung walked inside and took out the medicine that Feng Jiu had prepared for Chun Dao. Look, there's still so much left. As for these medicinal liquids, there are still a few bottles left. These few bottles of liquid medicine should be enough for him to drink. As for the ointment, well, I'll bring some over in a few days. That should be enough. She continued, you've been taking care of him for a while. Now, that senior brother Chun is awake. Do you want to go back and have a good rest? No need. Luo Hung waved his hand. He also has an empty room here. I've gotten used to it recently. I'll go back when he's better. Otherwise, once the news of senior martial brother Chen's sudden recovery spreads, you will be in trouble. Hearing this, Feng Jiu smiled and patted him on the shoulder. Then I'll have to trouble you. We are all brothers. Why are you saying this? Luo Hung smiled and said, come, let's go in and chat with him. Thus, the two of them walked in again and briefly told Qin Dao about what had happened recently, including the fact that the first elder had sent someone to bring him back. Chapter 1475. When Feng Jiu and Luo Hung heard this, they looked at each other and smiled. Yes, the current him was the confident Chun Dao who liked to stroke his two tufts of mustache. Thinking of his mustache, Feng Jiu stared at his face and smiled. Senior brother Chun, your mustache was shaved off by senior brother Luo. Looks like you'll have to grow it again. Seeing Chun Dao instinctively reach out to touch his beardless mouth after being startled, Luo Hung couldn't help but smile. I thought that it would be easier to clean it after shaving it off, so it's okay, I'll grow it again. He smiled and sincerely thanked the two of them. Thank you so much for this period of time. It's nothing, you don't have to thank us. That's too formal. Luo Hung smiled. That's right. Senior brother Chun has also helped me a lot. I'm very happy to be able to help senior brother Chun. Feng Jiu said with a smile. Feng Jiu, you've given me a new life. I, Chun Dao, will always remember this great kindness. In the future, if you need me for anything, I will definitely not refuse. Senior brother Chun, you're too serious. She smiled and said, this is actually not a big problem, senior brother Chun. You don't have to take it to heart. Then, she paused and said, since senior brother Chun is awake, I'll go back first. Qin Dao nodded and said to Luo Hung, junior brother Luo, help me send Feng Jiu out. Okay. Luo Hung replied and sent Feng Jiu out. Seeing Feng Jiu leave, Chun Dao, who was lying on the bed, slowly closed his eyes. Feng Jiu knew that he was extraordinary when he first met him, but he didn't expect him to say that the illness that even the sex alchemists and doctors couldn't treat was not a big problem when it came to him. One had to know that the sex alchemists and doctors were first-class people anywhere, but such people couldn't even compare to him, a servant disciple. Or perhaps he was not a servant at all. But no matter what, he had healed him and had given him a new lease of life. He would always remember this kindness. Outside, Feng Jiu removed her enchantment and said to Luo Hung, I'll send the ointment over in a few days. I'll leave first. If there's anything, send someone to find me. Okay, you can go back. Luo Hung waved his hand. He only knew that he seemed to be very busy recently, but he did not know what he was busy with. Feng Jiu nodded and turned to leave. When she walked out of the seventh peak and was about to head down to the cave abode, she saw Duanmu standing nearby with his hands behind his back. When he saw her, he turned around and left, leaving only one sentence behind. Come with me. She paused for a moment before following behind him. It was only when they arrived at the forest behind the seventh summit that Duanmu stopped in his tracks and turned around to stare at her. Seeing this, she bowed first. Greetings, Uncle Master Duan. Uncle Master Duan, do you have any instructions for me? Fengjiu, who exactly are you? Duan Mubai asked in a low voice. Hearing this, Fengjiu was stunned and looked confused. I'm Fengjiu. Didn't Uncle Master Duan already know? Chapter 1476. Senior Uncle Duan. Of course, I entered the Danyang sect, hoping to learn some skills. I just didn't expect that I would only become a servant disciple. But even a servant is still a disciple of the sect. Also, I didn't get close to Senior Uncle Shangwan. I only chatted with her a little more when I delivered her elixirs and met her in the mystic realm. That's all. If there's anything, it would be that Senior Uncle Shangwan saw that I was young and took good care of me. This is true. Why would Senior Uncle Duan ask such a strange question? She said innocently, if Senior Uncle Duan doesn't believe me, you can ask Senior Uncle Shangwan. However, ever since I returned, Senior Uncle Shangwan seemed to have gone into seclusion. She hasn't asked me to deliver elixirs for a long time, and I haven't seen her for a long time. Is it really that simple? Duan Mubai was still suspicious. Yes. What else does Senior Uncle Duan think it is? She asked in confusion. She tilted her head and thought for a while, then said, is there a problem because Senior Uncle Shangwan's expression is gentler when facing me? Senior Uncle Shangwan is such a gentle person. Isn't she always like that? Why would Senior Uncle Duan have such a strange idea and think that I have the intention to take over Senior Uncle Shangwan? She asked again and met his scrutinizing gaze with an open expression. There was no trace of fear in her clear eyes. Duan Mubai stared at Fengjiu for a while and saw that the youth in front of him had an open and clear gaze. He withdrew his scrutinizing gaze and instructed in a low voice, stay away from her in the future. With that, he turned and left. Fengjiu's eyes flickered as she watched Duan Mubai turn around and leave. As she watched his figure gradually disappear into the distance, the corners of her mouth curled up, revealing a devilish smile. Her previous honest and simple demeanor had disappeared without a trace at this moment, leaving behind only shrewdness and devilish charm. I should have told you this later. Stay away from my mother if you have nothing to do. Otherwise, I won't be polite to you. Her clear and unhurried voice was heard. She withdrew her gaze and walked down the mountain with a smile on her lips. In the following days, she went to her mother's cave to see her. Although the cave's array formation was fully activated, she had the jade token her mother gave her, so she could enter and leave the cave as she pleased. Days passed in peace and quiet. Qindao's injuries were getting better and better. He went from being unable to get out of bed to being able to walk around. His recovery speed was extremely fast. Moreover, the news of him being able to get out of bed and walk around was still sealed. Other than Fengjiu and Luo Hong, no one else knew. Chun Dao felt even more gratitude and admiration towards Fengjiu because it really was as Fengjiu had said. He had basically recovered in less than 3 months, and he should be able to make a full recovery in just a few more days. On this day, a few thunderous sounds came from the sky, as if someone was breaking through. Once the thunderous sound spread out, the people of the Three Yang Peak and even the Danyang sect were very surprised, especially when the alchemists of the Danyang sect found out that Shangwan Wanrong, one of the three Yangzi's disciples, had broken through to the nascent soul stage. They were even more envious and amazed. This girl has not been in the sect for long, but her strength has improved very quickly. Back then, she was only a cultivator at the peak of the foundation establishment stage. Now, she has entered the nascent soul stage. Chapter 1477. It said that she also cultivates battle skills, unlike most of the alchemists in our sect who only cultivate spiritual energy. This is good too. With one more person with battle skills, those people won't say that us alchemists only know how to refine pills and not battle. That's right. It said that Shangwan Wanrong was brought up from a lower country. Her battle skills are also very exciting. It seems that we have to send a gift to Three Yangzi to congratulate him for taking in such a good disciple and for his disciple advancing to the nascent soul stage today. Ha ha ha, this is a must. The peak masters on the main peak chatted and laughed. They had all made up their minds to send a congratulatory gift to 3 Yangtze Peak. At the same time, in 3 Yangtze Peak, Fingjiu, who was guarding outside her mother's cave, sat on a lush tree and watched as the 3 bolts of lightning struck. She was both happy and worried. She had finally advanced to the nascent soul stage. For the past 3 months, she had been guarding here alone. Others couldn't enter the cave, but she would go in every once in a while. Furthermore, when her mother was in closed-door cultivation, she had given her a bottle of medicinal liquid that could help her advance to the nascent soul stage within 3 months. This was because she knew that once her mother succeeded in advancing, they would have to be extremely alert to deal with what would happen next. 3 Yangtze would definitely find a chance to make her mother disappear without a trace. Just as she was deep in thought, she saw Duanmu Bai and the rest coming over after hearing the commotion. The 4 of them quickly walked to the front of her mother's cave and looked at the heavy pressure and spiritual aura that filled the air. Eldest senior brother, little junior sister has really advanced. It only took her 3 months. I really didn't expect that she could advance to the nascent soul stage in 3 months. Unbelievable, unbelievable. Thinking back, when I advanced from the peak of the golden core stage to the nascent soul stage, even with the help of pills, it still took me several years. However, little junior sister only took 3 months. Could it be that the pills that Master gave her were some kind of supreme grade advancement pills? That's right. It's really too fast. It's so fast that it's a little unbelievable. Upon hearing their words, Duanmu Bai stared deeply at the tightly shut cave dwelling and said, "Little junior sister's innate talent is also very outstanding, isn't it? If it weren't for this, Master wouldn't have accepted her as his last disciple. What's more, there are people who enter the nascent soul stage in 3 months, so there's nothing to be surprised about." At the same time, in the 9th summit, when 3 Yangtze saw the heavenly lightning striking down, his eyes lit up, and he could not hide the surprise and excitement in his eyes. We did it! She had finally entered the nascent soul realm. The nascent soul was born. Ha ha! As he laughed excitedly, he quickly got up and headed to the 8th summit. He could not wait to see Shangguan Wanrong, who had just entered the nascent soul stage. When he arrived at the 8th summit, he saw that quite a few people had gathered around the entrance of the summit, but there were still quite a few disciples who had entered the summit. They came to the periphery of Shangguan Wanrong's cave and began to discuss the matter. Standing at the very front were a few of his disciples, Duanmu Bai and the rest. When he saw this scene, he composed himself. After letting out a soft cough, he steadied his excited heart and took a step forward. A low and deep voice filled with displeasure rang out from his mouth. "What you all gathered around for? Don't you have anything to do? Hurry up and disperse. Greetings, Summit Master." The disciples quickly bowed and retreated a little. "Greetings, Master." Duanmu Bai and the rest turned around and bowed as well. Chapter 1478. Who's staring at me? His face darkened as he scanned his surroundings. However, he realized that the gaze had disappeared without a trace, as if it was just an illusion. Was it an illusion? His eyes darkened as he pondered. Then, he heard Duanmu Bai and the others' voices. "Master, what's wrong?" Not only were they looking at him, even the surrounding disciples were looking at 3 Yangtze. They felt that he was acting a little strange. 3 Yangtze collected his thoughts and glanced at them. Nothing. He looked at the cave abode and asked, "Your junior sister should be coming out of closed-door cultivation soon." "Yes, I really didn't expect junior sister to enter the nascent soul stage in just 3 months. Junior sister's talent is really good." Hearing this, 3 Yangtze stroked his beard and smiled. He seemed to be very happy. "Grandmaster, the other peak masters have sent their disciples over. They are waiting for the peak master at the 9th summit," a disciple hurriedly reported. Hearing this, 3 Yangtze was stunned for a moment. Then he nodded. "Yes, I understand." With that, he said to Duanmu Bai and the others, "You guys wait here. When your junior sister comes out of closed-door cultivation, go to the 9th summit together. I have some instructions." "Yes." Duan Mubai and the others replied. They watched as he walked past the crowd and left. Before he left, he paused and looked around before leaving. Seeing this, Duan Mubai also looked around in confusion. He thought to himself, what is Master looking at? What's around here? Meanwhile, Feng Jiao, who was sitting on the big tree, was staring at 3 Yangzi, who was leaving. He only looked away when he could no longer see him. Her mother had broken through, and he was here. Instructions? What instructions could he have? She wanted to see how he was going to play next. When she looked away, she saw Duan Mubai staring in her direction and walking towards her. Seeing this, the corners of her lips curled up. She didn't go down and just sat on the tree as he approached. What are you doing here? Duan Mubai furrowed his brows and stared at the green figure who was sitting leisurely on the tree. The green figure was small and hidden among the lush leaves. It was silent and difficult to notice. If he hadn't looked around and realized that the young servant who was so concerned about his junior sister wasn't in the crowd, he probably wouldn't have noticed the big tree not far from the cave abode. But when did this young man come? How can he hide his aura so well? Was he the one that Master was looking for? Looking at Duan Mubai under the tree, Feng Jiao, who was on the tree, revealed a smile, and her eyes narrowed into a line. Martial Uncle Duan, how did you know I was here? What are you doing here? What are you doing here? Duan Mubai asked again, his expression a little ugly. Uncle Master Shangwan. I'm just here to watch the show and wait for Martial Uncle Shangwan to come out. Isn't Martial Uncle Duan also waiting for Martial Uncle Shangwan? Everyone here is here to watch the show, isn't it? Duan Mubai raised his head to look at the young man on the tree, who was smiling with a pair of eyes that had a pure and harmless expression. Although he knew what the young man said was true, he still felt that something was not quite right. When he thought about how he was actually raising his head to look at a labored disciple and questioning him, his face could not help but sink. Come down and answer. What's wrong with you sitting up there? Chapter 1479. As he stared at the young man, standing in front of him with a smile on his face, Duan Mubai could only feel a fire burning in his heart. He wanted to vent it, but he could not find a place to vent it. He could clearly sense that this young man was not ordinary, but this young man did not do anything that crossed the line. This made him feel very helpless and very angry. Senior brother, little junior sister has come out. When a voice came from behind him, Feng Jiao looked at Duan Mubai with a smile on her face and said, Martial Uncle Duan, Martial Uncle Shangwan has come out of closed-door cultivation. If there's nothing else, can I go over and take a look? Duan Mubai frowned. He turned around and walked back without saying anything. Feng Jiao walked slowly behind him. When she saw her mother come out of closed-door cultivation, her gaze passed through the crowd and landed on Shangwan Wanrong. A gentle smile appeared on her face. When she saw this, she returned a carefree smile and even waved at her. Duan Mubai followed Shangwan Wanrong's gaze and looked at Feng Jiao. When he saw the interaction between the two of them, a deep thought flashed through his eyes. Little junior sister, you're really amazing. You've entered the nascent soul stage in just 3 months. Little junior sister, how did you do it? Little junior sister, congratulations. Congratulations, Martial Uncle Shangwan. The crowd's congratulatory voices rang out from time to time. At this moment, Duan Mubai stepped forward and said in a low voice, Little junior sister, since you've come out of closed-door cultivation, come with us. Master also came by earlier and told us that if you come out of closed-door cultivation, come with us to the 9th summit to see him. He has something to tell you. All right, Shangwan Wanrong replied, then followed them to the 9th summit. Before she left, she gave Feng Jiao a reassuring look, telling her not to worry. Feng Jiao walked behind the crowd and did not follow them. She still planned to wait for her mother to return and ask her some questions. At the same time, the disciples under the peak masters of the various summits in the 9th summit personally came over with gifts, hoping to meet Shangwan Wanrong, who they had only heard of but never seen in person. Not long after, he heard a disciple report that Duan Mubai and the others had arrived. Thus, he smiled and said, They're all here. You've seen the few disciples I took in before, but you haven't seen the youngest Wanrong yet. You can take this opportunity to meet her. In 2 days, I still have to send her out to handle some matters. Once she leaves, she probably won't be back so soon. That's true. Junior sister Shangwan is so favored by the Peak Master. Now that she has entered the nascent soul stage, it's only right for her to go out and gain experience. A middle-aged man next to him nodded with a smile. That's right. I heard that not only does junior sister Shangwan practice martial arts, but her alchemy skills are also not inferior to her senior brothers. I believe that if she returns from her training outside, she will definitely improve even more. Fortunately, we came in time. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to see junior sister Shangwan. Not bad, not bad. The few of them chatted and laughed. Not long after, they saw Duan Mubai walking in with a few people in the lead. Greetings, master. After the few of them bowed, they cupped their fists and bowed to the crowd beside them. Senior and junior brothers, how have you been? Haha, a junior brother Duan. We haven't seen each other for a long time. If it weren't for our master ordering us to come and deliver gifts this time, I'm afraid that it would be difficult to see all of you. Chapter 1480. That's for sure. The few of them laughed heartily and made up their minds. This must be junior sister Shangwan. Seeing her in person is better than hearing about her. An alchemist looked at Shangwan Wanrong, who was dressed in white and had a beautiful appearance and gentle temperament. When he stared at her, his eyes couldn't help but light up. For anyone, seeing beautiful things would make their eyes light up, let alone people. Shangwan Wanrong's appearance was outstanding not only in Three Yang Peak, but also in Danyang's sect. Otherwise, Three Yang Zi's disciples wouldn't be so interested in her. Wanrong greets senior brothers. She smiled faintly and bowed slightly. There's no need to be so courteous. We're here on Master's orders to give junior sister Shangwan a congratulatory gift. Thinking that junior sister Shangwan should be coming out soon, we waited here for a while to see her. The alchemist said with a smile, Junior sister Shangwan certainly didn't disappoint us. Not only is her appearance and temperament outstanding, but her talent is also excellent. Martial uncle Three Yang really took in a good disciple. Senior brother is too kind. She lowered her head slightly and smiled, then looked at Three Yang Zi. Master, I heard senior brother say that Master has something to tell us. What is it? Oh, since martial uncle Three Yang has something to tell us, we'll take our leave first. The alchemist surnamed Li cupped his hands at Three Yang Zi, then nodded at Duan Mu Bai and Shangwan Wanrong. When he was about to leave, he heard Three Yang Zi's laughing voice. Ha ha, it's actually nothing. You don't have to leave. Three Yang Zi smiled and looked at Shangwan Wanrong. It's like this, Wanrong. Now that you've entered the nascent soul stage and become a nascent soul cultivator, your alchemy skills are also not bad. Therefore, Master intends to let you go out to gain experience and broaden your horizons. While you're at it, help Master look for the 5-colored golden lotus. Hearing this, Shangwan Wanrong was slightly startled. In an instant, deep thoughts and doubts flashed through her mind, but she didn't show it on her face. She asked, Master wants to let disciple go out and gain experience? And look for the 5-colored, golden-rimmed lotus at the same time? Ever since he brought her back, he refused to let her leave the sect. Now, why would he want her to go out and search for that 5-colored golden-edge lotus? What was he planning? Even Duan Mu Bai, who stood at the side, was stunned, and he seemed to have not expected that Shunshi had called them over for this matter. Thus, after Duan Mu Bai pondered deeply for a moment, he said, Master, if you allow little junior sister to go out and gain experience, disciple is willing to accompany her. After all, little junior sister is still inexperienced, and disciple can take care of her by her side. When the disciples at the side heard this, they looked at the two of them with strange expressions, but did not say anything. When the disciples from the other peaks saw this, they laughed. So it's about this. Martial uncle Three Yang just told us that he wants to let junior sister Shangwan go out of the sect to gain experience and broaden her horizons. We all think that this is a good idea. The Peak Lord is so nice to his disciples. He really has your backs. Another alchemist said enviously. Their master would not make such arrangements for them. If they wanted to go out of the sect, they had to apply for it themselves. Whatever they wanted to do, they had to arrange it themselves. At this moment, 3Yangzi coughed lightly and glanced at Duan Mubai. Master has other arrangements for you guys. When your junior sister goes out to gain experience, you guys can't stay idle. Chapter 1481. Shangguan Wanrong looked at him and pondered for a while before replying softly, I'll listen to Master's arrangements. Hearing that, 3Yangzi nodded in satisfaction. All right then, go back and pack up. We'll set off tomorrow. Hearing that they would set off tomorrow, Duan Mubai's eyes narrowed. He opened his mouth, wanting to say something, but Shangguan Wanrong had already acknowledged him and left after bowing. Then we'll take our leave too. We still have to report to our master. The disciples from the other peaks also cupped their fists and left one after another. In the end, only Duan Mubai and a few others were left. Master, what do you need us to do? Duan Mubai asked as his gaze fell on 3Yangzi in front of him. At that moment, his heart sank slightly because he sensed that once his junior sister left, he was afraid that 3Yangzi's gaze swept past them and landed on Duan Mubai. He instructed, I'll be in seclusion to refine pills during this period of time. No one is allowed to enter the 9th peak. I'll leave the matters in 3Yangzi Peak to you guys. Don't let the disciples mess up the situation. Also, if there's anything important, let Mubai handle it. Remember, my pill refinement this time is extremely important. No matter what happens, you're not allowed to disturb me on the 9th peak. When they heard this, they couldn't help but look at each other. Then, they replied respectfully, Yes, we'll follow Master's instructions. On the other side, Fengjiu was waiting at the 8th peak. When she saw her mother coming down from the 9th peak, she wanted to go up to her. However, when she saw that there were many disciples from the other peaks who were talking as they came down, she stopped in her tracks. After all, it would seem strange for a servant like her to go down. Hence, she didn't go near them. Instead, she cupped her fists and smiled at her mother. Congratulations on entering the nascent soul stage, Uncle Master Shangguan. Shangguan Wanrong smiled when she heard that. Yes. She walked past her and went to the cave abode first. Fengjiu stood aside and watched the disciples from the other peaks walk past her as they talked. Just as she was about to go to the cave abode, she saw Duan Mubai and a few others walking down from behind. Why are you still here? Duan Mubai stared at Fengjiu with a frown, looking displeased. Fengjiu blinked. Martial Uncle Duan, I'm a servant. I always run up and down, so there's nothing strange about me being here, right? Why did this Duan Mubai like to stare at her? She wasn't in his way. Since you know that you're a handyman, hurry up and go down the mountain. He instructed in a deep voice. The 8th summit didn't ask you to come, so don't walk around here often. Seeing this, Fengjiu could only reply, yes. As soon as he finished speaking, he turned around and walked down the mountain. As he walked down, he heard the disciples on the mountain talking about how 3Yangzi had arranged for his mother to leave the sect to gain experience. Hearing this, she couldn't help but raise her eyebrows. Leaving the sect for training? This was strange. Wasn't she not allowed to leave the sect? He was willing to let her out now? Did this mean that he was looking for an opportunity to make a move? As she pondered, she wanted to go to the 8th summit to discuss with her mother. However, Duan Mubai was still staring at her from behind, so she could only walk down and look for another opportunity. Chapter 1482. Junior Sister. Duan Mubai called out to Shangguan Wanrong's cave. I have something to tell you. As soon as he finished speaking, the enchantment of the cave opened up. Seeing this, Duan Mubai walked in and saw the woman who was collecting the soft and delicate things. Is there anything else, eldest senior brother? Shangguan Wanrong stopped what she was doing and turned around to look at him. Duan Mubai hesitated for a moment, as if he was thinking about how to speak. After a long while, he said, Junior sister, don't come back this time. Shangguan Wanrong gently revealed a smile. Eldest senior brother, don't worry. I know what to do. Her voice paused. She looked at him and softly said, I want to ask eldest senior brother for a favor. Duan Mubai was slightly surprised when he heard this, because she'd never made any requests. So what exactly was it that could make her say this? Tell me, as long as it's something I can do, I won't refuse. Shangwan Wanrong nodded. I want to ask eldest senior brother to take care of Fengjiu. If eldest senior brother can't take care of her, then let her go home. The only thing she was worried about was her daughter. If anything were to happen to her daughter, she was afraid that she would act recklessly. San Yangzi was a fairy realm expert. No matter how strong she would not be able to defeat San Yangzi. Hearing this, Duan Mubai was surprised and couldn't help but ask, Junior sister, what's the relationship between you and Fengjiu? Ever since I came back from the mystery realm, I felt that you too seemed to be a little. Eldest senior brother, please don't ask about this. If there's a chance in the future, I'll tell you, but not now. Hearing this, Duan Mubai nodded. I know, don't worry. I'll take good care of him. If he doesn't want to stay in the faction, I'll let him go home. Thank you, eldest senior brother. She bowed and thanked him. Duan Mubai looked at her deeply, but didn't say anything. He only said, then I'll leave first. You must be careful on your way. I will. She nodded and sent him out of the Immortal's cave. After watching him leave, she looked around and didn't see her daughter. Only then did she turn around and enter the Immortal's cave. Fengjiu hadn't had the time because Luo Hong had pestered him. After she walked down the mountain, she was dragged to see Chan Dao. It was only when the sky turned dark that she finally found some time to sneak into the 8th summit and go to her mother's cave abode. Mother, I'm here. After entering the cave, she called out and saw her mother walking out from inside. I've been waiting for you here for half a day. Why are you only here now? As Shangwan Wanrong spoke, she pulled her mother's hand to the table and sat down. She said, 3 Yangzi wants me to leave the sect tomorrow to gain experience. You listen to mother's words. After mother leaves, you also find a chance to leave and return home. Originally, she could have brought her along. However, she was worried that if she brought her along, she would implicate her daughter when she couldn't escape outside. Hence, she could only let her stay and find a chance to leave. I've already asked eldest senior brother to take care of you. If you encounter any problems, you can look for him. He's still a capable person and will definitely help you. She instructed softly. Chapter 1483. No. Shangwan Wanrong shook her head. He's a fairy realm expert. You're no match for him. Besides, even if you use medicine, it won't work. He's an alchemist, and he's far more familiar with medicine than you and me. Listen to me. After I leave, find time to leave this place. As long as I'm still alive, I'll definitely come back to find you. Fengjiu looked at her. She wanted to say something, but she thought that she would definitely stop her, so she didn't say anything more. She just smiled and said, Okay, I know. Seeing her reply so quickly, Shangwan Wanrong knew that she didn't take her words to heart and didn't take her reminder seriously. Therefore, she patted her hand and said again, You have to take mother's words to heart. You have to know that being careful is the parent of a ship that can last for 10,000 years. You can't be careless about anything. Yes, I know. I'll remember, she said with a smile. She talked with her for a while and told her some things. That night, the mother and daughter slept on the same bed as if they had endless things to talk about. Fengjiu didn't fall asleep until the sky gradually brightened. Early morning, after tidying everything up, Shangwan Wanrong came to the bedside and sat down. Looking at her sleeping daughter, she couldn't help but reveal a gentle and loving smile. She reached out and stroked her face, saying softly, You must remember what I said. Be good and go home. When Fengjiu opened her eyes and saw her, a lazy smile appeared on her face. Mother, didn't you say last night that you'd leave at noon? Why did you get up so early? As soon as she finished speaking, she saw her mother suddenly hit her acupoint, making her unable to move and lying on the bed. She opened her eyes slightly and looked at her mother in astonishment. Mother, what are you doing? Quickly unseal my acupoint. Be good and sleep here. I'll leave first. Don't follow me. Otherwise, it'll be too dangerous. Shangwan Wanrong said softly and helped her pull the quilt up. When Fengjiu heard this, she hurriedly said, "Mother, unseal my acupoint. I promise I won't follow you." Hearing this, Shangwan Wanrong couldn't help but chuckle. She reached out and pinched Fengjiu's nose. "Don't think I don't know what you're thinking. I don't believe your promise. Be good, be good." As she spoke, her expression became serious. "Compared to my safety, I'm more concerned about your safety. Only when you're safe can I be at ease." She knew Fengjiu, but this time she couldn't take her with her. If she left first... Fengjiu. "Mother, father is still waiting for you to return." And Fengjiu, at least if you all for sure. You. Hearing this, Shangwan Wanrong chuckled. "What can a child like you do? It's fine as long as you don't cause any trouble. All right, I won't talk to you anymore. Here are the things I left for you. You take good care of them. If something happens to me, then let your father marry another woman. Don't be so stubborn. Also, you must take good care of yourself." Chapter 1484. Mother is leaving. You have to take good care of yourself. Nothing is more important than being alive. Shangwan Wanrong let go of her hand and looked at her deeply. At this moment, the voices of Duan Mubai and the others came from outside. "Junior sister?" She turned around and walked out. She closed the barrier and came to the people outside. "Greetings, senior brothers. Little junior sister, we knew you were leaving today, so we came to see you off." The third-ranked alchemist smiled and asked, "Are you ready?" "Yes, I'm about to leave." She nodded. "Let's see you out of the sect," Duan Mubai said and gestured for her to leave. Shangwan Wanrong smiled and walked to the sect gate with them. On the way, they chatted from time to time. When she learned from them that 3 Yangtze was in seclusion to refine pills, she just smiled. The few of them sent her out of the sect before stopping in their tracks. "Little junior sister, you're alone outside. You have to be careful in everything." "I know," Shangwan Wanrong said and bowed to them. "Thank you for seeing me off. It's getting late, so I'll leave first. Be careful on the road." "Be careful, junior sister. Take care." As they spoke, they watched her leave. It wasn't until the door closed again that they exchanged glances with each other and left one after another. Duan Mubai didn't return to the 8th peak directly. Instead, he went to the servant disciple. He thought of Shangwan Wanrong's instructions and transferred the servant disciple to his side. This way, it would be easier to take care of him. At the same time, in Shangwan Wanrong's cave, Fengjiu was lying on the bed and couldn't move. However, she secretly urged the spiritual power in her body to open the acupuncture point. It was too dangerous to let her mother go alone. That 3 Yangtze would definitely not miss such an opportunity. She was even sure that he must be waiting for her mother outside the sect gate. The spiritual power in her body started to circulate. Because of her mother's departure, she felt a little uneasy. She didn't know what would happen. But fortunately, she had already made arrangements. Thinking of this, her anxious heart relaxed slightly, and she focused on opening the acupuncture point. At the same time, outside the sect, Shangwan Wanrong slowly walked down the mountain. There was no one behind her, but she felt as if there was a pair of eyes staring at her, as if they were ready to attack at any time. This feeling made her body stiffen and her hair stand on end. Walking down the mountain path, the rustling sound in the forest sounded like the wind blowing, but also like the sound of someone stepping on the leaves. She braced herself and kept her guard up, but as she walked down, nothing happened along the way. Was it just her imagination? Was she being paranoid? She thought to herself, as long as I leave this place, I'll be able to get out of this place where flying is prohibited. Then, I'll fly on my sword and leave this place quickly. As long as I leave this place, it won't be so easy for 3 Yangtze to find me. As he thought about it, he quickened his pace and walked down. His pace became faster and faster. In the end, he was practically running. However, just as she was about to leave this no-fly zone, an incomparably familiar voice suddenly came from behind her. Wanrong. She stiffened and jumped in fright. She quickly turned around and saw 3 Yangzi in a gray robe standing not far away and looking at her. Seeing this, she forced herself to calm down and steady her fluctuating emotions. She slowly asked, "Master, why are you here?" Chapter 1485. Seeing her step back, 3 Yangzi stroked his beard and laughed. "Wanrong, what are you doing? Are you trembling? Are you afraid of your master? Why are you afraid of your master?" He slowly walked down from above. It looked like he was stepping on the ground, but in reality, it was as if he was stepping on air. His soles were not stained with mud. That pair of sharp and deep eyes stared closely at Shangwan Wanrong. He smiled and said, "Looking at you, you obviously guessed that your master would come. I knew it. You're smarter than your senior brothers. Actually, I quite like you. I really like such a smart disciple like you. Otherwise, I wouldn't have taken you as my last disciple." Shangwan Wanrong watched as he spoke and walked closer. She couldn't help but step back and ask, "What do you want? You don't have to be afraid. I just want to ask you for a favor. I just want to borrow you to help me." He stared at her and said, "You're my last disciple. If I ask you for a favor, you won't refuse, right?" Seeing this, she said coldly, "Master, did you forget that today is the day I left the sect to gain experience? This is something that you arranged. Could it be that you want me to return to the sect now?" "Haha, Wanrong, you know what I mean. Otherwise, why would you agree to come out? Actually, only you can come out. This way, even if you disappear, and don't return to the sect, no one will say anything." As he spoke, he stroked his beard with a face full of righteousness. "I'm a famous alchemist in the Danyang sect. I'm also the peak master of 3 Yangzi Peak. My identity and status are so extraordinary that no matter where I go, I'll be admired by everyone. Therefore, I can't let the scandal of killing my disciple spread. So, I thought a good idea. As long as you leave the sect, then everything will have nothing to do with you. Here, no one will know who took you away. No one will know where to go to save you. No one will know whether you're dead or alive. This is what I want." "Ha ha!" He raised his head and laughed loudly. That laughter echoed in the forest and spread through Shangwan Wanrong's heart. It was like ice that pierced her bones and penetrated her heart. She suppressed the fear in her heart and asked, "Why me? Out of so many people, why me? Just because I have a spirit-gathering physique? You want to use my nascent soul to refine pills, right? Is it to prepare you for your impending lifespan?" You know, 3 Yangzi was astonished, as if he was very surprised that she actually knew. Therefore, he smiled and nodded. "That's right. You're my last disciple, so you should know that I was seriously injured in my early years. Now that this injury has flared up, it's affecting my body and is shortening my lifespan. There's no other way, because I don't want to die. I'm not willing to give up everything that I've obtained with great difficulty. Don't worry, as long as I succeed, I won't treat your family unfairly." As he spoke, his figure flashed and instantly swept towards Shangwan Wanrong. Seeing this, Shangwan Wanrong quickly turned around and rushed forward. She couldn't be captured, and even more so, couldn't be killed. Otherwise, she didn't dare to imagine whether her daughter would fight 3 Yangzi to the death if she knew about this. Chapter 1486. As soon as 3 Yangzi spoke, his figure flashed and grabbed Shangwan Wanrong's shoulder just as she was about to escape. He was so fast that a nascent soul cultivator could not compare to him at all. The pain from her shoulder made her cry out in pain. Half of her body immediately fell down. She could only feel his hand tightly gripping her shoulder, as if he was going to crush her bones. It was so painful that she could not exert any strength. "Wanrong, I've said that you can't escape. Come back with me obediently." His voice was deep as he dragged her away forcefully to the other side. "Let go of me! Let go of me!" Shangwan Wanrong struggled and wanted to fight back. However, as she had just entered the nascent soul stage, her aura was still unstable. Furthermore, her shoulder was being held, and she was being forcefully suppressed by the pressure of a fairy. Based on her strength, she could not fight back and could only allow herself to be dragged away forcefully. "Shut up. Be quiet." When Yangzi saw that she was screaming and struggling, he raised his hand to knock her unconscious. However, at that moment, he suddenly felt a chill run down his spine. His hand, which was about to strike Shangwan Wanrong's neck, turned around and struck behind him. Bang! The airflow from the palm strike landed on the ground with a bang, causing a loud bang and sending sand and dirt flying everywhere. At the same time, a ferocious beast's roar was heard. It was deafening and echoed throughout the forest. Roar! Tun Yun, who had transformed into his true form, bared his teeth and roared. His bloodthirsty eyes stared fixedly at Yangzi. His sharp claws flashed, and his entire body surged with the powerful aura of a divine beast. A divine beast! When Yangzi saw Tun Yun, he could not help but cry out in shock. How could there be a divine beast in this place? When he took a closer look, he realized that this divine beast had been contracted by someone. He calmed himself down and shouted in a deep voice, "Who's your master? What are you trying to do? Let her go. Otherwise, I'll tear you to pieces," Tun Yun said. His voice was filled with a bloodthirsty viciousness, causing people to shudder even though it was not cold. The divine beast's aura emanated from his body and enveloped the surroundings, forming a current of air. Shangwan Wanrong was originally shocked by the sudden appearance of this mythological beast. She didn't expect to hear this. She was puzzled in her heart. Could this be her daughter's mythological beast? She even arranged for a mythological beast to guard outside. Thinking of this, Imo Tinga's heart skipped a beat. She wouldn't chase after her after breaking through her acupoint, right? When Yangzi heard Tun Yun's words, his sharp eyes narrowed. "Who sent you here?" Right after Xiao Qin spoke, the palm wind formed a chi blade and smashed towards Tun Yun. At the same time, he grabbed Shangwan Wanrong and rushed towards the back of the mountain. If he wanted to bring her back, he could only go up the mountain from the back. Otherwise, the people in front would definitely see them. Roar! Don't even think about running away. Devouring Cloud roared. As he dodged the attack, he gave chase. Yangzi was an alchemist, and although he didn't slack off in his cultivation, his fighting prowess wasn't something that a true fairy realm expert could compare to. After dodging for a while, his speed slowed down, and several wounds appeared on his body. His clothes were torn, and blood seeped out of several wounds. He stumbled as he knelt, looking somewhat pathetic. This was because he couldn't let go of Shangwan Wanrong. Once he did, she would definitely run away. If he didn't have to take Shangwan Wanrong with him, he wouldn't have been forced into such a state. Chapter 1487. You want her? All right, I'll give her to you. When Yangzi saw the cloud-devouring divine beast pouncing towards him with its sharp claws, he hardened his heart and immediately pushed Shangwan Wanrong forward to use her as a human shield. Shangwan Wanrong, who had been caught off guard and pushed forward, felt the sharp claws coming towards her with a terrifying, murderous intent. However, at this moment, the divine beast quickly retracted its attack. Due to the ferocity of the retraction, its entire body was flung heavily to the other side to avoid the attack on her. When she saw this, she was startled and looked at the mark left behind by the divine beast as it fell heavily to the ground. However, just as she was about to speak, she felt a heavy blow on the back of her neck and fainted. Roar! Devouring Cloud quickly leaped up and chased after them. However, the other party threw an object at it, and it exploded in front of it with a bang. A pungent smell wafted out, and it felt its legs give way. Its entire body collapsed, and it could only watch as that person carried its master's mother and disappeared without a trace in the span of a few breaths on the other side. Fengjiu, who had opened her meridian points, did not leave through the main entrance. Instead, she circled around to the back of the mountain, intending to leave through the back of the mountain. The terrain there was steep, and the sheer cliffs and precipitous cliffs could not be climbed. The only way was to fly. However, There were barriers and formations set up there to prevent the sect's disciples from entering and exiting from the back of the mountain. However, barriers and formations were of little use to her. However, because the back of the mountain was large and took up a large area, she brushed past 3 Yangtze, who was carrying her mother back, without realizing it at all. When she quickly swept past the formation, crossed the barrier, and arrived outside to search for Devouring Cloud's aura, she saw that it was shaking its fur and standing up. Devouring Cloud, where's my mother? Her heart sank when she caught a whiff of the aura in the air that had yet to completely disperse and saw some blood dripping onto the ground. She was captured by that old fellow. Devouring Cloud replied and said guiltily, Master, that old fellow's battle power was not very high, but his medicine was very powerful. I don't know what kind of medicine it was that made me so weak that I couldn't chase after him. It was reasonable to say that it was already a mythological beast. Ordinary drugs and poisons wouldn't have any effect on it. However, it didn't know where that thing came from, but even a mythological beast like it couldn't avoid it. Where are you going? Did he escape from the back of the mountain? Her gaze landed in the direction they had come from. She thought that 3 Yangtze would make a move on her mother outside, but she did not expect that he would bring her back to the sect. He would definitely not dare to let anyone know that he had done such a thing. He could only enter the sect from the back mountain and return to 3 Yang Peak. If that was the case, she took a deep breath as her mind raced. Bringing her mother back, did that mean that he really intended to use her body as a human furnace to refine her? If it was a human furnace, then it had to be alive in order for the spiritual power to circulate in the body. Swallow Cloud, go into the space. We'll go back later, she said as she stretched out her hand and had it return to the space. Looking at the traces of fighting around her, her eyes turned cold. She quickly left and went back the way she came. Since she was at 3 Yang Peak, she had to go back. She didn't believe that she couldn't find a chance to save her mother. At the same time, the people in the sect who heard the noise were surprised. Because the noise came from near the Danyang sect, they sent disciples out to investigate. Chapter 1488. He was terrified and uneasy, afraid that things would really happen as he thought, so he quickly rushed down. When the disciple guarding the sect saw Duan Mubai, he smiled and asked, Uncle Master Duan, why are you here? Where are you going in such a hurry? I'm going out to check what that sound is about. Open the door quickly, Duan Mubai said with a pale face, and his voice was somewhat unsteady. Uncle Master Duan, you don't have to go out. I've already sent a disciple out to check. He'll be back in a while. Open the door, he shouted in a deep voice, and his hands were already tightly clenched in a fist with blue veins popping out. Seeing this, the disciple was shocked and didn't dare to say anything more. He quickly opened the door and let him out. Seeing Duan Mubai rush out and disappear in the blink of an eye, he couldn't help but mutter, What's wrong with Uncle Master Duan? Why does he look like he's crazy? Wanrong? Wanrong? Junior sister? Junior sister. Duan Mubai shouted and searched around the forest like a madman. His voice that contained spirit energy also reverberated in the air and entered the ears of the disciples who were checking in the forest. It seems to be Uncle Master Duan's voice. He seems to be calling Uncle Master Shangwan, but I heard that Uncle Master Shangwan left the sect this morning. As the disciples discussed among themselves, they looked at each other and walked towards the source of the sound. Not long after, they saw Duan Mubai searching around in the forest. They shouted, Marshal Uncle Duan, we found traces of a fight ahead. There are also bloodstains. Do you want to take a look? Blood? Hearing this, Duan Mubai's heart seemed to sink to the bottom. Could it be that junior sister? He staggered forward and followed them to the place where the blood was dripping. Looking at the surrounding traces and the blood on the ground, he asked in a trembling voice, Where is she? Did you see anyone? No. When we came, we only saw traces of a fight, but we didn't see anyone. A disciple said, and looked at the pale Duan Mubai. He hesitated and asked, Uncle Master Duan, were you calling Uncle Master Shangwan just now? We heard that she left this morning. Don't worry, it shouldn't be her. Duan Mubai stood there in a daze as if he didn't hear anything. Countless thoughts flashed through his mind. Not her. How could not be her? She had left the sect today. Although her master had gone into seclusion yesterday. Who would have known? Master, yes, master. He seemed to have thought of something as he turned around and rushed back. On the other side, Fengzhou went straight to the back of the ninth summit and went up from there. The reason why 3 Yangtze had set up layers of barriers and formations here was to prevent people from having the chance to come up from behind. Perhaps it was because he was too confident that she could come and go freely. When she climbed up the 9th peak from behind, 3 Yangtze locked the unconscious Shangguan Wanrong in his elixir refining cave. Looking at the wounds on his body and the deep claw marks on his arm, his eyes couldn't help but turn gloomy. Who was it? Who knew that he would make a move against Shangguan Wanrong? Duan Mubai? It couldn't be him. His contracted beast was only a peak-level holy beast. If it wasn't him, who else could it be? Chapter 1489. Damn it. My hand. He looked at the bleeding water and immediately took off his blood-stained outer clothes. He took out medicine to stop the bleeding and bandage the wound. Because he was injured, his entire aura was gloomy. If he didn't need Shangguan Wanrong, this living furnace, he would definitely kill her to vent his anger. Not long after, he bandaged his wound and put on a new coat. He stared at the unconscious Shangguan Wanrong on the ground and snorted heavily. He dragged her inside. Outside, at the 9th peak's entrance, Duan Mubai said to the 2 nascent soul cultivators, "I have something important to report to Master." The 2 glanced at him and said in a deep voice, "The peak master has ordered that he won't see anyone while he's in seclusion." His eyes were bloodshot, and he shouted, "This is an emergency. We only obey the peak master's orders. If it's an emergency, you're the peak master's eldest disciple. Go and deal with it yourself." One of them said and didn't let him go. "What if I have to go in?" Duan Mubai clenched his fist and asked. "Then don't blame us for being impolite." The 2 of them said unyieldingly. Hearing this, Duan Mubai took out his long sword and the spiritual power in his body surged. His gaze was firm and he shouted, "Today I must go in and see Master. Whoever dares to stop me, don't blame me for being impolite." Seeing this, the 2 nascent soul cultivators were slightly surprised. They couldn't help but look at each other. However, they didn't move away. Instead, they surged the spiritual power in their bodies and prepared to fight at any time. "You're not our opponent. Hurry up and go back. Otherwise, we'll only send you back by force," one of the nascent soul cultivators said in a deep voice, who knew that just as he finished speaking, he saw Duan Mubai attack them with his sword. Seeing this, one of them immediately attacked. Whoosh! I must go in today. The sharp sword chi carried the pressure of a nascent soul stage cultivator. Even though Duan Mubai was also a nascent soul stage cultivator like the 2 of them, the nascent soul stage cultivators who cultivated battle techniques and the aura of spiritual power were different. He clearly knew that he wasn't a match for them in terms of strength, but when he thought that Shangguan Wanrong was most likely in his master's hands, he couldn't ignore it and watch his master kill his disciple. Not only would that ruin his reputation, but would also cause his junior sister to lose her life. As a disciple and a senior brother, it was one thing if he didn't know, but since he knew, he couldn't pretend not to know. Bang! A nascent soul cultivator brushed away his sword and sent him flying several meters away with a palm strike. Because he was the peak master's disciple, this palm strike was still somewhat lenient. "With us here, you won't be able to enter. Don't waste your time." The nascent soul powerhouse retracted his hand and straightened his back as he looked at Duan Mubai, who had retreated a few meters away. He didn't understand. Why did this person go in? His master had already given the order to go into seclusion to refine pills, yet he still wanted to go in and disturb. As a pill master, how could he not know that pill masters hated to be disturbed the most among pill masters? Eldest senior brother, what are you doing here?" The other people who heard the news rushed over. When they saw Duan Mubai, who was holding a sword and full of anger, staring at the two nascent soul cultivators, they couldn't help but be startled. They hurried to his side and supported him. Eldest senior brother, what happened? Chapter 1490. Immediately, he looked at the two nascent soul cultivators with displeasure. What's wrong with you guys? Don't you know him? He's our master's eldest disciple and our senior brother. You guys are too reckless. The two nascent soul cultivators looked at each other and retracted their aura. He wants to go in and see the peak master. However, the peak master has ordered that he is in seclusion and will not see anyone. You guys know this too. Since you guys are here, bring him back. As they spoke, the two of them took a few steps back and continued to guard the entrance of the mountain. Hearing this, the few of them were slightly startled and looked at Duan Mubai in surprise. Senior brother, you want to see master? Their master had ordered that he was in seclusion and would not see anyone. They were afraid that he would not be able to enter. However, why did he want to see their master? Because of this, he even fought with the two nascent soul cultivators? Duan Mubai took a deep breath and said to the few of them, Little Junior's sister might be in danger. I have to go in and report this to Master. He did not dare to tell them that he suspected their master of capturing Little Junior's sister because they would not believe it either. Not to mention them. Even he wouldn't have believed it if he hadn't seen too many of their master's abnormalities during this period of time. When the few of them heard his words, their expressions changed. What? Little Junior's sister is in danger? Could it be that the commotion outside was... Thinking of this, they could not help but become nervous and looked at the two nascent soul cultivators. Such a big thing has happened. Of course we have to report it to Master. Hurry and get out of the way. This matter cannot be delayed. As for the two nascent soul cultivators, they didn't seem to have expected this and hesitated for a moment. What are you guys waiting for? That's our little junior sister, our master's last disciple. You guys know how much our master values her. If anything happens to her, do you think you can bear the consequences? Hearing this, the two nascent soul cultivators frowned and whispered. Then they said to the few of them, Since that's the case, you guys wait here for a while. I'll go in and report. If the peak master wants to see you, he'll let you in. With that, he turned around and walked inside. When Three Yongzi heard the nascent soul cultivators report, he said with a gloomy expression, Let them go back. Since he had disappeared, he would let them search for him. I'm refining pills right now, so I can't be disturbed. Yes, the nascent soul cultivator replied before turning to leave. The Peak Lord said that you should go and look for him if he's missing. He can't be disturbed right now. Hearing this, Duan Mubai pulled his junior brothers over and whispered a few words into their ears. Then they went up to them and said, Is that so? Our master really won't see us? Then where are we going to find him? As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly hugged them. Eldest senior brother, quickly go in. Thank you very much, Duan Mubai said as he hurried inside. The two nascent soul cultivators were stunned and immediately struggled. Let go of me. What are you doing? Before they could finish speaking, they smelled a strange fragrance. Then their bodies went limp and they fell to the ground. Hey, didn't I say that this pill was useful? I just refined it not long ago. Even nascent soul cultivators would collapse under it. Chapter 1491. The few of them looked at each other for a moment, then nodded and quickly rushed inside. They also wanted to see what was going on. Did Junior Sister's disappearance have anything to do with Master? Since eldest senior brother was so nervous, could it be that he knew something? Duan Mubai, who had gone in first, came to the bamboo house. He looked around but couldn't find her. He paused and thought that she might be in the cave that Master used to refine elixirs, so he went in again. However, when he got closer to the area of the cave, he saw that there were many formations set up in places that didn't have formations before. He went around the formations and came to the innermost area. He saw that the cave was right in front of him, but he couldn't go any further because there was a barrier set up there. A barrier set up by a fairy realm expert was definitely not something he could break. When he saw this, he shouted, Master! Master! Disciple Mubai has something important to report. Master, Disciple Mubai has something important to report. At the same time, in the cave, 3 Yangzi was preparing the elixirs and arranging the required elixirs. Unexpectedly, he heard a voice coming from outside. When he heard the voice, his face immediately darkened. He had clearly told them not to disturb him, but he still came in at this time. Also, why didn't the 2 nascent soul cultivators guard the mountain gate and let him in? Master, Disciple Mubai has something important to report. When he heard the voice coming from outside, he shouted with a gloomy face, "Impudent! Didn't I tell you not to disturb me here? You've turned a deaf ear to my words." Master, Junior sister is missing. I only found traces of fighting and blood outside the sect, but I didn't see Junior sister. Master, nonsense. Your Junior sister has already left the mountain to train. How could she be missing? With her strength, cultivation, and intelligence, you don't have to worry about her. She'll be fine. 3 Yangzi spoke in a low voice while glancing at Shangguan Wanrong, who was unconscious and had her hands and feet tied up. No one could find her here. Master, please come out. I have something to ask you. Duan Mubai said again. He was more and more certain that Shangguan Wanrong was in Master's cave. If you have something to say, wait until I come out of seclusion. Go back immediately. Hearing this, his heart was filled with unease. He immediately asked, Master, is Junior Marshall's sister in the cave? How dare you? Duan Mubai, how dare you? Inside the cave, 3 Yangzi's face was ashen as he shouted in a gloomy voice. His entire body was trembling with anger. At that moment, he could no longer bear it and walked out. Do you know what you're saying? Go back immediately. Otherwise, I will expel you from the sect today. After walking out of the cave, 3 Yangzi glared at Duan Mubai with rage in his eyes. A trace of killing intent rose in his heart. He wanted to refine a life-saving pill. Whoever dared to obstruct him would be going against him. As for those who were against him, he would definitely not be lenient. If they didn't let him live, he would let them die. Even his disciple was the same. There was nothing more important than his life. Seeing him come out, Duan Mubai's heart ached unbearably, and he immediately knelt down with a plop. Master, little Junior sister is your disciple. Please let her go. Master's reputation and prestige shouldn't be destroyed here, nor should it be destroyed like this. Chapter 1492. Master, don't make the same mistake again. Puffed. Before he could finish speaking, he was struck in the chest by San Yangzi's attack. He grunted and coughed up a mouthful of blood. He stared at his master in disbelief, unable to accept the fact that he had just attacked him. In his heart, his master was like a father, but now his master, whom he had always respected, hurt him. This is a lesson for not obeying your master's orders. Get back immediately. 3 Yangzi shouted with a gloomy face, staring at him with a sharp gaze. Duan Mubai wiped away the blood at the corner of his mouth, still kneeling on the ground. He raised his head to look at his master, who was standing in the barrier, and cowed out. Master, please let Junior sister go. Master, please let Junior sister go. Hearing this, 3 Yangzi was furious. When he saw the other disciples running over, he immediately raised his hand, gathered his spiritual energy, and fiercely struck out with his palm again. When the spiritual energy surging in his hand turned into a fierce airflow, it sent Duan Mubai, who was kneeling on the ground, flying a few meters away. Eldest senior brother. When the people who were running over saw this, they could not help but exclaim and quickly went forward to help him up. However, when they saw that Duan Mubai, who was being helped up, was bleeding from his mouth and his face was as pale as a sheet, they were shocked and quickly took out elixirs for him to consume. Eldest senior brother, hang in there. Oh my God, why did Master hit him so hard? Was he trying to kill eldest senior brother? Cough, cough. Puffed. Duan Mubai coughed lightly and felt the blood in his throat gushing out again. He opened his mouth, wanting to say something, but in the end, because of the heavy injury, his hand drooped down weakly, closed his eyes, and fainted. Eldest senior brother, eldest senior brother. The few of them were shocked and hurriedly shouted, but they saw that he did not have any reaction at all. The second-ranked alchemist checked Duan Mubai's pulse and said to the few of them, "Eldest senior brother has only fainted, but his organs have been injured. We have to quickly send him back for treatment." "Then let's quickly send eldest senior brother for treatment," the third and fourth-ranked alchemists said as they helped him up. They looked at their master, who was standing in the barrier with a complicated expression. They had seen with their own eyes how their master had mercilessly struck out with his palm. That was an attack from a fairy realm expert, and their eldest senior brother did not even try to dodge it. Wasn't their master deliberately trying to take their eldest senior brother's life? In the end, what was the reason for master to be so heavy-handed? "You two send eldest senior brother for treatment first. I'll be there soon," the second-ranked alchemist said, motioning for the two to leave first. "All right, then, be careful, second senior brother." The two of them lowered their voices as they spoke. After all, if their master had made a move on their eldest senior brother, who knew if he would also make a move on their second senior brother? Thinking of this, he felt a little uneasy. What was going on? Why did it feel like everything was in a mess once little junior sister went missing? "Hey, do you think I'm eldest senior brother? If something goes wrong, I'll be the first to run. Don't worry." Ruan Changchun grinned. He was the second-ranked alchemist, but his brain was as sharp as a melon. After watching them leave, he put on a solemn expression and walked forward. When he reached the barrier, he stopped and bowed to his master, who was inside. Disciple Changchun pays his respects to master. Chapter 1493. Hearing this, Ruan Changchun smiled and waved his hand. No, no, no. Master, you've misunderstood. I just wanted to ask, do you need someone to help you refine pills in the cave residence? I can help." As he spoke, his voice paused, and he grinned. "Master, you know Changchun the best. Changchun has never questioned Master's orders, right? Although eldest senior brother said that Master captured little junior sister and wanted to kill her, I feel that eldest senior brother must be imagining things." As he spoke, he paid close attention to the young man's expression. When a young man said that his master had captured his junior sister and wanted to kill her, the strange look in his eyes made his heart sink. Was it really his master who did it? Was it because of this that eldest senior brother found out about it? Was that why he was so heavy-handed? The more he thought about it, the colder his heart became. He was shocked and in disbelief. However, he still had a smile on his face, as if he was heartless. "There's no need. You may leave. Look after your senior brothers. Just don't disturb me while I'm refining pills." Three Yangzi's voice became gentler. He looked deeply at Ruan Changchun and said, "As long as I successfully refine this batch of pills, I will reward you well." "Yes, thank you, master." He was pleasantly surprised and hurriedly thanked him. Then he turned around and left. As he turned around, the smile on his face disappeared and his expression became serious. Feng Jiu, who was in the dark, watched this scene quietly. His eyes moved slightly as he thought to himself, "How should I save her? When should I save her? How should I leave after saving her? I have to think about it carefully. However, I can be sure that this is not a good time to make a move." To avoid alerting the enemy, she could only continue to hide and wait for the best time to make a move. Three Yangzi was at the fairy realm, while she was at the nascent soul stage. Although there was a difference in their levels, Three Yangzi did not specialize in fighting. Hence, she still had a chance of winning if they fought. However, the problem was, how could she send her mother out safely after saving her? Fighting with Three Yangzi would definitely alarm the entire sect. If the entire sect were to surround and attack her, then how would she be able to safely rescue her mother? As for tearing apart Three Yangzi's mask, that was impossible. If the people in the sect knew about it, they would definitely not allow Three Yangzi to kill his disciple. They would only help to hide the truth. If a scandal were to spread, it would only affect the sect. Furthermore, this was the basic survival of the strong cultivators in the world of cultivation. Which place did not have unspeakable things that no one knew about? Which person's hands were not stained with the blood of innocent people? They would only see what was more beneficial. Hence, she could not count on the people in the sect to deal with it. On the other side, Ruan Changchun, who had left, headed towards his eldest senior brother's cave abode on the 8th peak. He saw that there were many people gathered outside the cave abode. It was obvious that it was because the news of his injury had spread. His disciples had all rushed over, but they were all gathered outside the cave abode, unable to enter. Chapter 1494. What are you all doing here? He shouted with a stern face and glanced at the crowd. Martial Uncle Ruan, I heard that our master is injured. Is it serious? Luo Hung asked, looking at Ruan Changchun, who was walking over with his hands behind his back. Ruan Changchun glanced at him and said, Your master is fine. Go do what you need to do. Don't block here. Martial Uncle Ruan, we want to see our master and see his injuries. A disciple mustered up his courage and said. Ruan Changchun glanced at them and said, What's there to see? If he wants to see you, he will let you come over. Since he didn't summon you, go back first. He paused and shouted again, Why aren't you leaving? What are you waiting for? Hearing his words, everyone looked at each other and left one after another. Luo Hung looked at Ruan Changchun with some doubt, then looked at his master's cave residence. He felt strange but couldn't say anything, so he could only leave with everyone. After everyone left, Ruan Changchun walked into the cave residence and saw Duan Mu Bai, who was still unconscious. He asked, How is eldest senior brother? His injuries are not light. Fortunately, he has already taken a healing pill, but the doctor just said that he will need at least 1 or 2 days to wake up. Moreover, he will not be able to use his spiritual power for a month after he wakes up. If he is not nursed properly, I'm afraid that he will have a permanent illness in the future. The third-ranked alchemist sighed and said, Second senior brother, why do you think Master did this? This is eldest senior brother. He actually hit him so hard. Ruan Changchun waved his hand. Okay, let's not talk about this for now. Let's wait for eldest senior brother to wake up. He pondered for a while and said to the two, There is something I want to discuss with you. The two looked at each other and asked, Is it about little junior sister? Ruan Changchun glanced at them and nodded. That's right, that's it. I think you should have guessed something. This matter is definitely unusual. There are always things that can't be exposed. However, this matter is somewhat related to us. Moreover, it's related to junior sister. I want to ask you what you think. Second senior brother, if you have something to say, just say it. We'll listen to you. The two said in unison. All right, this is my plan. If it was us, we would definitely not be able to enter the cave where Master is refining pills. However, in this Three-Yong Peak, other than us, there is no one else who has the ability to manage this matter. Therefore, I think that we should go to the other peaks. We are familiar with the disciples of the other peak masters. He told the two of them about his plan. He planned to go to the disciples of the other peak masters and chat with them. Then, he would casually spread the news. He believed that once they heard the news, they would definitely report it to their masters. This way, they would not need to instigate the other peak masters to come and check it out. Now that the power of each peak was equal, the strength of each peak master in the sect was about the same. If the other peak masters knew that their master was going to concoct a heaven-defying divine pill, the other peak masters would not be able to sit still. Okay, we'll do it now. The two of them left after listening to him. Chapter 1495. In the evening, when the disciples of each peak reported the news to their masters, all the peak masters were secretly surprised. Is it true? Is that Three-Yongzi really in seclusion to refine some kind of heaven-defying pill? A peak master stared at his disciple and asked, Yes, master. This is what I heard from junior brother Juan. A middle-aged man said respectfully. Hearing this, the peak master frowned and said, If it's true, why would he come to tell you? This matter is a little strange. Master, you don't know. He came to find me to drink and have a heart-to-heart talk because his eldest senior brother seemed to have offended their master because of this matter. His eldest senior brother was seriously injured and is still lying in the cave. Junior brother Juan was in a bad mood because of this, so he came to find me to drink. After drinking, he told me about it. The disciple said and continued. This disciple felt that this matter was very important. After sending junior brother Juan back, I immediately came to report it. If some kind of heaven-defying pill really appeared, the three Yangtze Peaks limelight would definitely overshadow ours. This disciple felt that no matter what, I had to report it to Master and ask Master to make a decision. Hearing this, the Peak Master stroked his beard and pondered for a while. He said, "Even if this matter is true, what reason do we have to stop it? If the sect master knows about this, I'm afraid. Master, the three Yangtze Peak, is known as the leader of all the peaks in the Danyang sect. If we really let three Yangtze refine some kind of heaven-defying pill, I'm afraid that when the time comes, the masters will have to bow their heads and smile apologetically when they see him." This disciple doesn't mind being ridiculed. However, this disciple is unwilling to listen to the people outside saying that our peaks are inferior to the three Yangtze Peak. Hearing this, the Peak Master's face darkened. He accidentally stopped stroking his beard and even pulled out 2 strands of his beard, causing him to hiss in pain. He glanced at his disciple awkwardly. After thinking for a while, he said, "If this matter is true, then come here." He gestured for him to come closer and whispered a few words. Then, he waved his hand and gestured, "Go." "Yes, disciple will do it right away." The disciple's face lit up, and he hurried out. At that moment, in the cave abode on the 9th summit of Three Yang Peak, the unconscious Shangwan Wanrong woke up when she smelled the pungent smell of medicine. She opened her eyes in a daze and saw three Yangtze bringing out a whip that was soaked in medicine. He brought it before her. "Awake? It's good that you're awake." San Yangtze held the whip in his hand and stopped 3 steps away from her. He looked at her and said, "Wanrong, you can't blame me. If it weren't for me, you would still be trapped in the Shangwan family, wouldn't you? Don't worry. I will make sure that you are of the greatest use. I won't let you come to the human world for nothing. No one outside knows that you are with me, so you still have a very glorious identity. You're the last disciple of me, Three Yangtze." "Bah!" Shangwan Wanrong looked at him coldly. "Hypocrite! He was worse than a beast. You don't deserve to be my teacher." It's all right, go ahead and scold me. Soon, you won't be able to scold me anymore." Three Yangtze smiled carelessly. He swung the whip in his hand and said, "Do you know what this is? This whip has been soaked in medicine since I brought you into the sect. Do you know what it is used for?" Chapter 1496. Your spiritual gathering body is a mobile spiritual energy storage device. To Master, you are the best candidate for the human furnace. Do you know why Master must let you cultivate to the nascent soul stage? Because the nascent soul that you condense when you are born will be the best guiding medicine in the human furnace, a guiding medicine that can let Master live. He stared at her with a slightly crazed expression. You should be glad that you were chosen by Master. This kind of opportunity is not something that just anyone can have. Don't worry, after you die, Master will take care of your family, sacrificing you in exchange for the prosperity of your entire family. I think they will be very happy. Crazy. Shangwan Wanrong stared at him and spat out these 2 words. Yes, he was already crazy. In her opinion, he was already crazy. He only wanted to live, so he did not hesitate to pay any price, even if it meant sacrificing the lives of others. Because in his opinion, no one's life was more important than his. He was afraid of death, so he tried every means to find a chance to live, to find a chance to extend his life, to find a chance to increase his lifespan. He even forgot that he was an alchemist, forgot that he was someone's master, forgot that he was someone's master, forgot that he was someone's original character. He only wanted to live. He only wanted to live. If this kind of person was not crazy, then what was he? Swish. Slap. The whip that was stained with medicinal liquid was thrown out after she shouted crazy. With a swish, it swept through the air, bringing with it a sharp gust of wind. With a slap, it fiercely landed on her body, causing her to scream out in pain. Ah! On her white dress, a whip mark was flung from her shoulder to her body. Her white dress had been torn apart by the lash of the whip, and scarlet blood seeped through her clothes, causing her to tremble in fear. A strong medicinal fragrance also spread in the air with the whip, especially when the whip landed on Shangguan Wanrong's body. The medicinal liquid on the whip seemed to have seeped into her flesh as the wound split open. Hiss! Ah! The wound was painful and painful, accompanied by a burning sensation. It was only one whip, but she felt as if something was not quite right, as if there was something not quite right about her. How is it? This medicine is not bad, right? This is the primer that stimulates the medicine in your body. You don't know about it, do you? I've already drugged you long ago, but since it's sealed on your arm, the medicinal effect hasn't spread. Therefore, with your ability, you won't be able to detect any problems. 3 Yangzi smiled and threw the whip back into the medicinal bath, soaking it repeatedly. Not long after, he took it out again. He stared at Shangguan Wanrong and said confidently, "Not to mention you, even your eldest senior brother Mu Bai wouldn't be able to detect anything strange." Swish! Pa! Ah! Shangguan Wanrong screamed again. That kind of pain was really too unbearable. Her wound had been torn open by the whip. Her flesh had split open and blood was seeping out. The medicinal liquid on the whip had also seeped into her flesh. The burning pain was like a red-hot soldering iron sticking to her wound. Chapter 1497. 3 Yangzi looked at her pale and sweaty face and hurriedly said, "Wanrong, you have to hold on. This is something you have to go through. I don't want to do this to you, but this medicine is only effective in this way. Only in this way can it seep into your body. Every lash of the whip will hurt you so much that you'd rather die. The burning sensation is the effect of the medicine. You have to hold on. You are the human furnace that I have chosen. I have placed all my hopes on you. I have placed all of my hopes on you." As he spoke, he pinched her mouth and forced her to open it. He then took out a pill and forced it into her mouth. At the same time, he lashed out with the whip again. Whooshing sounds were accompanied by a series of heart-wrenching screams. However, these screams could only echo in the cave and could not be heard from outside. In the evening, when the sky gradually darkened, a few peak leaders could not help but personally come to 3 Yangzi Peak to investigate. However, when they arrived at the 9th peak, they were stopped by 2 nascent soul stage cultivators. The peak leader has ordered that no one is to disturb him while he is refining pills. As the 2 of them spoke, they stared at the peak leaders cautiously. These people came for no reason. Could it be that they were asked by the peak leader's disciples? What were they trying to do? Why were they causing trouble again and again? "We have some matters to discuss with your peak leader. You can leave. He won't blame you." One of the peak leaders waved his hand and said, "But..." The 2 nascent soul stage cultivators hesitated and frowned. "No buts. We will bear the consequences," the other person said and strode in. At this moment, Ruan Changchun's voice came from behind. Peak leaders? Why are you here? Are you looking for our master?" "But our master is refining pills and will not see anyone." Ruan Changchun walked in front of them with a face full of vigilance and said with a smile, "Everyone, please go back. Please do not disturb my master's refining." One of the peak leaders saw Ruan Changchun and raised his eyebrows. "Didn't you say that you were drunk? How did you get drunk so quickly?" Hee, my 2 junior brothers gave me a hangover pill, so when I heard that the peak masters were here, I hurried over to take a look. Our master has instructed us not to meet anyone who comes and not to meet anyone. He smiled embarrassedly and kept blocking them. "Really? However, we have an extremely important matter to discuss with your master. We really have to see him." Originally, he still had some doubts in his heart. But now, when he saw the panic and obstruction in Ruan Changchun's eyes, he was even more certain that it was true that 3 Yangzi was refining a heaven-defying pill. Immediately, the few of them looked at each other and walked in with large strides. "Hey, Peak Masters, don't be like this." Ruan Changchun shouted as he followed behind them. Seeing that they were heading towards the bamboo hut, he said, "My master is concocting pills in the cave. We really cannot disturb him." Hearing this, one of the peak leader's eyes flickered. He turned around and glanced at him, seemingly deep in thought. Chapter 1498. When the others heard this, they all fell silent. That's right, Yangzi usually only refined pills around the bamboo hut. Only when he was afraid of being disturbed would he go to his cave residence to refine pills. This meant that this pill was extremely important to Yangzi. They all had different thoughts. When they arrived at the cave residence, they saw layers of formations set up outside. There was even a barrier set up in front of the innermost cave residence. One of them looked at the others and shouted, "Brother Yangzi, Brother Yangzi?" In the cave residence, Yangzi was tired from whipping and had to prepare the next batch of medicine. He walked out of the pill refining room to get something. Just as he was about to walk back, he heard the voice from outside. He couldn't help but frown. "Brother Yangzi? Brother Three Sons?" The other person also raised his voice and called out. At this moment, the people outside couldn't help but look at each other when they heard that there was no movement in the cave residence. At this moment, Ruan Changchun, who was behind them, turned his gaze and quickly walked forward. "Master, Master," a few peak masters barged into Yangzi Peak. They said that they have something to ask. If Master doesn't come out, they will break through the barrier. Hearing this, a few peak masters were surprised and looked at him. They didn't say that they were going to break through the barrier. After all, they were in Yangzi's territory. What they were doing now had already crossed the line. How could they break through the barrier? However, just as Ruan Changchun finished speaking, Yangzi walked out angrily. "What are you all trying to do? Disturbing me while I'm refining pills. Is this what you want to do?" After being interrupted again and again, Yangzi was extremely angry. His anger soared and couldn't be suppressed. Being questioned like this, a few people's faces were a little embarrassed. After all, what they were doing now was indeed beneath their dignity. They couldn't help but cough lightly. One of them said, "It's like this. We heard that Brother Yangzi is refining some heaven-defying pill. Therefore, we wanted to see if there's anything we can help with. Brother Yangzi also knows that we can't compare to you in terms of pill refining. Therefore, we wanted to use this opportunity to learn from Brother Yangzi." Yangzi snorted heavily and said, "You are all pill refining masters. Don't you know that it's taboo to be interrupted while refining pills? Hurry up and leave. Otherwise, after I finish refining this cauldron of pills, I will definitely report this to the sect master and ask him to uphold justice." Hearing this, their expressions stiffened. They never thought that they would be rejected so thoroughly. They couldn't help but look at each other. Suddenly, one of the alchemists was startled. He stared at the whip in the hands of the Three Sons with a strange expression. "Brother Three Sons, why would you use a whip to refine pills? Your whip seems to have been soaked in medicine." After the peak master spoke, the others finally noticed that Yangzi was holding a whip in his hand. The whip was also soaked in medicinal liquid. No wonder when they smelled the medicinal smell just now, they thought it was coming from the pill refining cave and didn't pay much attention to it. However, looking at the current situation, what was going on? If he wanted to concoct pills, he could just concoct pills. Why would he need to use something like a whip? Just what kind of pill was he refining? Ruan Changchun lowered his gaze and covered his reddened eyes. Under his sleeves, his hands were tightly clenched in a fist. He had noticed the whip when he had stepped out. That whip was soaked in medicinal liquid and emitted a medicinal smell. At the same time, there was also a faint smell of blood. Chapter 1499. Only when he heard their words did the furious Yangzi realize that he had walked out just like that, because he was angered by them. He didn't even put down his whip before them. When he met their probing and doubtful gazes, his heart skipped a beat. He forced himself to calm down and said, "Didn't I say that I was refining pills? I was taking the blood of a spiritual beast to make medicine when you guys came." We can understand taking the blood of a spiritual beast to make medicine, but why do you need to use a whip? One of them asked suspiciously. They had used the blood of spiritual beasts to refine pills before. Some pills did require the blood of spiritual beasts, but didn't they use a knife to take the blood? Why did he use a whip? Or a whip soaked in medicinal liquid? What kind of pill was he concocting? Why did he use medicine in such a strange way? Hearing this, Three Yangtze's gaze darkened, and he said with a straight face, "Everyone has their own way of refining pills. My method of refining pills is naturally different from yours. What's so strange about that? It's getting late. You guys should go back as soon as possible. If you continue to disturb my refining, I will definitely report it to the sect leader. When that time comes, don't blame me for ignoring the propriety of my fellow sect members." Hearing this, the few of them hesitated. Since he had put it this way, there was no reason for them to investigate further. However, since they were unable to enter his place and investigate further, they were unwilling to accept it. They looked at the cave abode. It was right there. Did they really have to go back like this? If they went in to see what kind of spiritual medicine he was preparing to refine, perhaps they would be able to find out what kind of pill he was refining. Even as he pondered the matter, he suddenly heard a cacophony of voices ringing out. It didn't come from one place, but rather the entire sect. It was as if something major had happened, and the entire sect was thrown into chaos. They turned around abruptly and saw smoke and fire rising in the sky, accompanied by cries of alarm that spread through the air. "Not good, not good. Fire, 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 quick! Put out the fire! Put out the fire! Someone come quickly! Put out the fire! Put out the fire!" Their expressions changed. What's going on? Why does it sound like there's a fire somewhere? At this moment, several disciples rushed in with panicked expressions. "Not good. All the peaks are on fire. The fire has spread from the back of the mountain to several peaks. Several places in the sect are on fire. Master, quickly go back and take a look." Hearing this, several people's faces changed greatly, and they immediately asked in a stern voice, "How did it catch fire? Where did the fire come from?" "The fire seems to have started in the kitchen. Once it got out of control, it spread everywhere." Some of the spirit beasts that were waiting to be slaughtered in the kitchen caught fire and ran out, causing the entire sect to be on fire. Right now, the disciples of all the peaks are already putting out the fire. Sherfong, the place where the fire broke out in our peak, is the spiritual herb storehouse. We have to go back quickly. The few of them were shocked. Their eyes were filled with astonishment and disbelief. They didn't dare to stay any longer. They didn't even have the mood to investigate what Three Yangtze was doing. They immediately rushed out and rushed back to the peak to put out the fire. Ruan Changchun was flabbergasted. Fire? How did their sect catch fire? This was something that had not happened for many years. Once the entire sect caught fire, it was not normal at all. Chapter 1500. Changchun, what are you still standing there for? Why don't you hurry up and see if our peak is on fire? Three Yangtze stared at him with a dark expression as he spoke. There was a fire burning in his heart. If it weren't for the fact that he couldn't leave this place because he was worried, he really wanted to walk out of the barrier and check the situation outside. Why would there be a fire for no reason? Moreover, the fire was so fierce that it had even spread to the peaks. If the other peaks were on fire, wouldn't their Three Yangtze peak be on fire as well? Yes, I'll go take a look immediately. As he spoke, his gaze swept past the whip in his hand. However, he stood there, unable to move his feet. Seeing that he was staring at the whip in his hand, Three Yangtze frowned and shouted in a deep voice, "Why aren't you going?" Ruan Changchun narrowed his eyes and walked away. Every step he took was especially heavy at this moment. Fengjiu, who was hiding in the dark, watched as Three Yangtze walked in after looking around. At this moment, her eyes were filled with blood-red, murderous intent as she stared at his figure. That whip, that whip. Her hands were tightly clenched in a fist due to her anger and murderous intent. Her joint cracked. Although she had restrained her aura, her murderous intent still leaked out at this moment. Master, I'm back. Tunyon leaped to her side. When he saw that her entire body was filled with murderous intent, he couldn't help but look towards the cave abode. There, Three Yangzi's figure was walking in. You stand guard outside. I'll go in. She spoke slowly. Her voice paused after every word. It was obvious that she was restraining her murderous intent. Yes, master, be careful. Tunyon replied and looked at her as he spoke. Fengjiu didn't speak again. Instead, she tapped the tip of her foot and leaped down. Step by step, she walked towards the barrier in front of her. When she arrived at the barrier, she reached out her hand and a wave of spirit force gathered in her palm. The originally invisible barrier suddenly gave off a halo of light. At this moment, she gathered spirit force in her hands and injected it into the flames. With a bang, the entire barrier shattered. In the air, the airflow of the fairy realm expert dispersed along with the destruction of the barrier. A loud bang resounded, and it alarmed Three Yangzi, who was in the cave. As for the other people in the Three Yangzi peak, they didn't even notice the noise from the ninth peak. They were either called to help put out the fire or to check if their peaks were also on fire. The entire sect was filled with chaotic noises, so no one noticed the sound. Fengjiu walked in almost at the same moment the barrier was broken. Smelling the strong medicinal smell in the cave, as well as the smell of blood, she released her killing intent and pressure at this moment. Since she had chosen to make a move, there was no need for her to hide anything at this moment. Since Three Yangzi had dared to attack her mother and hurt her mother, she definitely wouldn't let him off easily. The moment the barrier was broken, Three Yangzi sensed it. Just as he turned around and was about to walk out, he didn't see anyone coming in from outside. Instead, he felt a wave of bloodthirsty, murderous intent surging in from outside. That bloodthirsty, murderous intent was bone-chilling. It was as cold as ice that had been frozen for 1,000 years. At the same time, it shocked him, and he became alert. Who is it? Come out. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.